at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. Come to you live every weeknight at midnight Eastern, and we talk about guns for a while. So we start off the show each day with that snippet from a movie called Red Dawn, and that's a part in the movie where the kids who are the resistance, who find themselves playing the role of resisting an oppressor, they are in the mountains, and they had snuck into town for the first time, and discovered just how bad it had got, where the town they had left when it was invaded. And on the way back out of town, they passed some of the outskirts of the town, which are the horse properties. And at one of those properties, they're given a radio. So that scene is the first time they're listening to the radio after months of having the United States invaded and them basically cowering up in the hills, hiding from the whatever just happened. So they're getting their first taste of what happened, the situation, the current situation, and some idea of the status of where things were in the world at that time. And I think it's interesting. It's a movie that's created by a guy who was a filmmaker he was going to school for being a filmmaker at the time when World War II movies were popular and being created. So he had a lot of familiarity with the World War II, just in general, but also the movies and stuff. So that particular piece of Red Dawn, the movie Red Dawn, is I don't know what to call it. It's a reflection, or it's an echo from The Longest Day, another movie, or a really good movie about World War II. And in that movie, that's the representation or whatever of the French resistance, and the way that the OSS, the spies, were able to get information across to those who were resisting and those who were fighting the Nazis from behind enemy lines. So anyway, I played that. I think it's neat. And we've been doing the show now since 2016. And that intro has remained applicable, I think, to lots of situations that we've encountered over that time. So I'm going to continue to use it, and every once in a while I just explain why I use it. It's not insignificant at all. I like that movie a lot. I think it applies to a lot of things in life, not just the black and white, invasion of the United States by Russia or anything. There's so many things where you don't get to choose what your battles are. You don't get to choose how you're going to fight or when. You just simply have to fight in a way that the descendants can use it as an example, and not an example of what not to do, but hopefully an example of what to do. All right, so I usually get discouraged when nobody shows up, so that was an attempt to get the show rolling here without looking at the counts and stuff. Everybody knows who watches the show when it starts, but the alerts don't go out, so I'm not sure if people don't show up because of that or what, but anyhow, we're going to get in. This is the beginning of the Friday show, so we're at episode 1190. We're getting up there. So there's the link to it. Unlike this chats that have no courage or interest in talking to regular people, we throw a link out there. This is a conversation. In fact, if you're just a weird observer and you're just sitting looking for a bench to sit on and watch, then go somewhere else. There's lots of places where you can follow a script and be entertained. Here, we want you to be part of the conversation. As I said before, all you really need is keyboard hands and a brain, and then, of course, your opinions, because we do not supply them. So be part of the conversation. Either jump in, all you need is a microphone and a computer, I guess, or be part of the text conversation. But the show's length depends on how active the conversation is. We want to talk about guns, not about garbage and boring shit. So in order to get the show rolling, I threw the link out there. We're going to head over to, I guess I could do it this way. We're going to head over to guncalendars.com, which is one of our projects, a website that is designed to have, a website designed to have to archive our firearms history every single day. The goal would be to have anything that ever happened in firearms history there, so that we have something for each day in the calendar. However, I don't know if I have something for actually today. I'll go find the video. I'll probably say something about Knob Creek, so we'll look at that. But part of the new show, we'll be using these things, which I'm clicking to get. And what is today? The 8th? Today's the 9th. So we'll play this one and see what happens. And then you people want to probably see it. So we'll, oops, I guess I should close this, which is secrets, and then click over to here. There's barbecue jumping in. Click over to here and there and over there, and then open this a little bit bigger. And now we'll play this little calendar thing. Good morning. Good morning. We're taking a look at guncalendars.com, where we attempt to archive our daily firearms history. And today we're taking a look at something that, unfortunately, like many of the things that have been just postponed this year, something that's been canceled. But normally this weekend would have been the Knob Creek machine gun shoot in Kentucky. The Knob Creek machine gun shoot has been going on for quite a while. We're going to jump over to our other website, one of our other websites, where we have the shooting ranges, and we'll go down here to Knob Creek. They started in 1965 when they bought the 600 acres, or I think they started with a little bit less than that, but they bought some acreages there in Kentucky. It had been a place where the government had to test range. It was like a test range for the military. So they had a bunker, and they had this area where they could shoot full auto or anything really. And they started out having small family and friends gatherings. In 1970, they started shooting dynamite. By 1981, the kid took over, and it started being attended by more and more people. Now it's a large event with lots of people attending. It happens twice a year in April and October. And I guess since it's been on TV, it's blossomed even more. So I think it does a good job of representing our community, giving everybody an idea of what it's like to shoot firearms recreationally, even the crazy big stuff, and how interesting and how insightful or much of history that shows. So we've got that would have been going on for the next few days, but unfortunately, like most things going on this year, it's been postponed. So stay tuned for the next one, whenever that might be. This is the kind of stuff we try to keep track of over on guncalendars.com. If you know of an event or anniversary or some piece of history that we're missing from the calendar, please let us know. That's what it's all about. As always, thanks for watching. All right, well, so that's Knob Creek. I guess I did a bit of video on it, even though it's not really happening. And then, yeah. All right, so barbecue jumped in. I know we can chat about stuff. Angelina finally got her package, so I've been not wanting to really talk about the catalog too much. Or not the catalog, but the buyer's guide, I guess, or the collector's guide, I guess I should. Because she didn't get it yet. I didn't want her to be able to take a look at it. But anyway, so yeah, I had done a catalog, and then I was like, this is pointless because 80% of the stuff in it doesn't really exist. It exists, but it's not for sale anymore. So it's dumb to call it a catalog. So I called it a collector's guide, and made the big version of it, which is technically more complete. It's bigger, and then the tiny mini version. And yeah, I just think that's neat. I was basically getting sick of trying to figure out which Every Second Matters was which. And the same with gun channels, like, have them and they're in a big pile, but never really paid attention too much about which ones in what order and stuff. So I just spent some time a couple weeks back, and actually took a little while because it's like, say, it's not something I'd been keeping track of. But now that it's all sorted out, it's sort of like untangling a big mess of strings or something. If you ever need something now, it's real easy to figure out which version of this you got or which version of that. Where before, it just wasn't written down anywhere. Anyway, so since I went through all that trouble, I figured why not put it into a thing since I got the fancy printer here. And like you said, now you can hook all the people that are addicted to stuff. They can have like a nice menu. So now when they want to feed their addiction, they have a nice menu they can choose from.
Yeah, it's pretty slick. I like that a lot.
And then like a classy restaurant, I didn't put any prices in there, so it's not really a catalog. It's really just you can afford it, or if you however it is, whatever snooty way of saying, you just got to get ready to pay. Basically, get ready to pay.
Yep. That's like last week when you had done the sale for the two-way rally flag patch. I was like, well, that sounds way too awesome to pass up. And I went over and I was like, oh, wow. Not only is it way too awesome to pass up, but they're like $10 and change on there. And so like the last $30 that I had in my bank account went to the two-way rally flag patches. Luckily, my cousin that owed me money showed up like 2 days later. So
we recommend if you run out of money to look at your ma's purse. Oftentimes she'll have a little bag in there full of money. Take all the money out of there and buy patches with that.
I tried that once and I got my arse whooped.
My mom never had a little bag of money in there, so never worked. But I wouldn't have done that. I never had nothing to buy when I was a little kid. There was nothing to do. Plus now, I don't know what they do now. I guess you give kids credit cards or something.
I don't know.
You're nothing without a credit card anymore.
I remember one time I decided to just go like ripping apart all the furniture. I ended up finding like 10 or 12 bucks and change. It was insane.
Crazy. I don't know about well, I guess it depends on how many people are combing through the furniture. I just read about some dude who was the 16th of 19th kids. So they got 19 kids, brothers and sisters, like 18 brothers and sisters. I'm just saying, you ain't finding a quarter ever. You ain't finding a dime.
I'd say if you found a nickel, you'd be excited.
Yeah, there's nobody ever leaving money around with that many kids around. There's always somebody to pick it up. I mean, that's 32 hands or some shit. Ain't nothing ever getting dropped. That's good. Anyway, I've been working on ammo here instead of doing anything productive, so I'm in the same boat as usual. I kind of stopped things to run the show. Normally it's good though. Fridays, kind of 50-50 odds, I guess. Sometimes people show up and we have some epic Friday conversations. I guess it just kind of depends what's going on in the world and where people are at with having time to jump in. So again, this is a conversation. There's a couple of people out there. You got a link. I'll throw the link out again. You're welcome to jump in. All you need is a mic. If you like barbecue, hashtag be like barbecue. Jump in here and be part of the show, or type with your fingers into the side thingy there. Or if you're on a phone, click on the microphone looking thing. You don't have to use your fingers. Just say stuff, and then it'll go in there and be part of this thing. And otherwise, we end it because, say, I'm really not trying to prove nothing with this show other than prove that every single weeknight we can have a conversation about guns. Well,
yeah, and I think we're still getting corked for another half hour or so by budget.
Yeah, I don't think that's technically working. People that tend to join this show and hang out, I don't think they watch that guy's show. Those people that watch his show are paying attention to the news and worried about a bunch of stuff. So, are there any riots right now anywhere?
I have no idea. The only thing that I heard, because I ended up staying at a friend's place last night. So when I got up this morning, they had on the news Apparently, there was a plot to kidnap the governor of Michigan and start a civil war or some crap, I guess.
Right, but you're talking about like a news thing from like Minnesota or Michigan or someplace with an M in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing I can find about that kind of stuff is months old. Now, if you type it in there, it shows up like it's yesterday. Like all the pictures and stuff have no dates on them. You have to either hover or open it and click to see that they're all old. But anyway, here's my point. In the heat of all of that, all I heard was, or 90% of what I heard was, oh, it's inevitable that we're going to civil war. This is the end. Are we at civil wars? Was it the end? I just don't understand the fixation with paying attention to their emotional puppetry. You know, they throw stuff out there. There's a focus on stuff, you know, and they get you. It's like having glue or something or tar or something on there. You know, you get stuck to it, and then before you know it, you can't wipe it off. It's just on there. It's like paint or something. And I don't get it. I don't get paying attention to the cycle. And I think that's where we're going to end up losing time, because the longer people are fragmented, paying attention to things that seem important, you know, seem important or vital, I guess, whatever the word is. How do you get people together to talk about the stuff that's, what do you call it, like consistently necessary? You know, I don't want to say important, but, you know, necessary, or, you know, just crucial. I don't know if the right word, you know, not necessarily imminent or time wise. It's probably never really crucial or critical, but without ever being done, it becomes you know, a massive void, a massive lack. I don't know. I've been equating it lately to walking and exercising and dieting, or doing anything that's supposed to be for health. You know, you don't just start and then a week later you're done and you've accomplished your healthy goal and you can just go back to your old ways. You know, those are incremental or time. What's the word? You know, they take time. So some of this stuff is like is what we're focusing on or whatever is deliberate. You know, let's not pay attention to what they're constantly telling us is important. How many generations do we need to listen to what they say is important? Anyway, so as we got the ability to focus on what we feel like, we don't have to be delusional, but we can certainly spend some time of the week not focusing yet again on whatever they tell us to focus on. So there's my daily nag mope to get rid of the people who are just sitting on the bleachers waiting for that, you know, daily bullshit focus on whatever they tell us to focus on. You're going to be disappointed here. Anyway, so now DJ's jumping in. We throw the link out there. Anybody can jump in. How's your internet working tonight? You got any topics or anything?
Well, I hope that it's working well. Am I coming in loud and proud?
Yeah, so far so
Excellent, excellent. Don't really have anything new on the day except the positive report that though the internet may not be exactly what I would like it to be, all the time I had to mess around with the cellular companies yesterday paid off. Although I'm still using my old handset, I have a brand spanking new one that I'll be getting into this weekend.
Awesome.
Right, I took that opportunity to blow my nose.
Oh, right on. And I guess beyond that, there's not a lot to add from Nebraska, or at least in the proximity of the Omaha area. We had a couple of overnight difficulties with some violence, but that's pretty much any night here. Where with all the suburbs and absorbed communities around us, we're still under 1 million people. And it still feels like a cow town, but everybody who in the last 20 years has doubled the population of this area. a lot of different styles. The Midwest laid back, unassuming kind of thing is not what you run into every day anymore. And I do find that, particularly since January, that the stress levels that people are experiencing in an increasing fashion as we go through in our headlong rush into 2021, people's fuses are ready to be lit, and they are short. I even found myself being uncalm in the Sprint T-Mobile store yesterday, and I had to offer profound and sincere apologies to staff members, and I did, as a general address, turn around from what I had been saying to an employee and apologize to those who were waiting for an appointment. I was not proud of myself. That short fuse was mine, and it was unfortunately lit yesterday. But I'm calm. I'm clear. I extinguished the flames and the embers underneath, and so didn't have to call out the bucket brigade. So I hope things are in a similar fashion where everyone else in the chat today is, and yeah, I'm doing better. Thanks.
All right, well, I'm going to switch gears or whatever, I guess, and topics. And I don't know who all's out there. We'll see if anybody's out there. It says there's 5. I don't know if that's true or not. Sometimes it'll say 3, and then 6 or 8 people will chime in. So we'll see if anybody's out there or not. But when you think of companies that have their own caliber of ammo, so like the Glock 45 Gap comes to mind. The Smith & Wesson 40, the 40 Smith & Wesson, right? Barrett 6.8, or no, 416 Barrett, sorry. They have their own calibers. Do they make their own ammo? So Barrett, they got a 416 Barrett. Did they make that ammo? As opposed to, I guess, just having the caliber. See lockjaws out there.
I don't believe so, but I don't seem to have sufficient knowledge in about Barrett.
Yeah, so that's why these are boring. If there's only 2 people and neither one of you pay attention to this kind of shit, because then it's basically guessing. But whatever, you got to guess. Well, I guess this internet isn't that good.
Yeah, so
Actually,
as you were saying that, I was thinking of 300 Savage.
If you don't know the answer, I'm kicking you out like I kicked him out.
Oh shit, I'm toast.
So, what do you think, Barrett? Do they make their own ammo or no?
I mean, I've never heard of Barrett making ammo, so I'd have to say no. But I mean, that's based on pure ignorance.
No, they have had their ammo made by other people to their spec. So then you got Colt. There's Colt branded ammo out there. They make their own ammo, or do they not make their own? I don't know if
I'm gonna say no to that one also.
So it's super boring with just one person. So I'm just wasting these, so I'm not going to waste them. But no, they don't either. Well, they license it, but yeah, they don't make their own.
Yeah.
Facilities or what. But the rest of these are interesting. Well, I'd list some of them we could have gone through. But we're a half an hour in, and it's just us and Lockjaw. And if DJ couldn't stay connected, I don't know if he'll be back to listen. I hate to drop it off for the people that do listen, but if they're not even saying hey or whatever, then they're not even listening. So those people aren't even out here.
I say I am kind of curious now. I'm gonna have to do some research because I've got a 300 Savage that I got from my grandfather, and I mean the gun's 100 years old itself. But back when Savage came up with the 300 Savage, did he make that round exclusively himself and pump out the ammo himself, or was he going through a manufacturer to get those rounds made? That kind of intrigues me now.
So Savage was a dude, and his story's cool, and his life was Savage or whatever. That's why I remember that guy. But I don't remember how long, but he basically came up with that gun. So Arthur William Savage receives a patent in 1893 for this striker fire hammerless rifle that uses the spiral helical mag instead of a mag like a tube, right? So
Yep.
at first everybody's like, big deal, like it's just another gimmick, nobody cares. He did it for the balance. He did it so that all the ammo would be right underneath your hand when you're walking or whatever. So that was why he didn't just do it to be a gimmick. He put that mag in there so that all the ammo would be in the center of the weight of balance of the gun. And then he was doing all kinds of shit. He had come up with a torpedo. He had been a farmer. He started making his gun after he went to Australia and he started a cattle ranch and grew it to be like the largest cattle ranch in Australia, got bored and came back to the United States, went to Haiti or some shit, I forget, Jamaica, then England, then he comes back to New York, works at a railroad place and takes the railroad from zero to hero, like, and they're like, oh, you're awesome, stay here forever. He's like, nope, I'm bored. And then he goes with his gun design over with Browning, or was it Colt? He hangs out with somebody like Colt or Browning with his gun. I think it was Winchester. No, it wasn't Winchester. So it was either Colt or somebody. He hangs out with somebody.
I think it was Colt.
And then he's like, whatever, I made this gun, I'm going to start a gun company. Yawn, I'm bored. And then he goes to California and invents radial tires or some shit and starts auto racing. So he was like one of the first to mass produce a car in the United States. Or create a car, maybe not mass produce, but the first to like build a car in a factory in the United States. So he's done so much epic shit, and he left his name with the factory, but I don't think he was with that factory for more than that one gun. So I'm not sure, but basically the answer to the question is they began selling ammunition in 1897 for their own calibers. Yeah, like the 250, 3000 Savage is their own gun. But here's the thing, that helical mag that he came up with for balance or whatever is like, he invented that like 15 minutes before they invented center fire ammo. So as soon as they invented center fire instead of just rim fire, now you can't jam center fires down a magazine tube with pointy bullets. Like, they still had to figure all that out. So instead of figuring all that out, you just put them in a helical mag and you can shoot your fancy center fire bullets now, and bigger bullets. Like, it was a strong gun, so it wasn't anemic or nothing. So that gun was like made just at the right time for the next step of technology. But I haven't read nothing that said he knew that, because he started that gun way before. He was doing it for the balance, and it just happened to work out for center fires also. But, right place in the right time. But I'm pretty sure he was gone by then. He was like, this is boring. Like, I don't like having a gun company anymore. I'm going to go race these automobiles that I've heard so much about. And he's like 80-something years old. He invented that gun when he's like 60 or something. He's lived a freaking life, and then he's like, now I'm going to start racing these cars I've heard about. And then he gets cancer or something, and he offs himself. So he was not stopping for nothing. That guy's crazy. But anyway, so yeah, he had his own, they were doing their own ammo, and they had quite a few bullets or calibers of their own.
Yep.
And I guess the company just said, screw it, let's just keep doing a company in the spirit of the guy. There was the guy named, I can't think of his name now. It's like Chief Lazy Bull or Lazy Elk or something like that. The guy that was in all the Savage logo or whatever, like in all the Savage advertising, that was Chief, who liked their rifles. So back in the olden days, they made a contract where he's like, he said something like, let me have a couple of guns, and then, or maybe it was a mess of guns, and then some amount of money for the rest of time, basically. And then Savage, well, the last I looked at it, Savage has been living up to that contract forever. They just keep paying that tribe, or that guy at least. I think the tribe, though, all this time, since like the middle of the 1800s or whatever. no, probably not the middle, by the end of the 1800s, for use of that logo. And they don't use it anymore. They just have like a weird S now.
Yeah, I've actually got a sling that has that old profile picture of them. I say that profile's the side photo, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got an old Savage sling that actually has it.
I think it's like Chief Lane Milk or something like that. It's a weird name.
Every once in a while, I've seen on some of their new firearms. Well, I shouldn't say that because I haven't looked at a brand new Savage in a few years, but even 4 or 5 years ago, on the pistol grip area of the rifle stocks, you'd see the Chief.
I don't think, well, whatever. That's a whole nother topic, I guess. Let's see. So we'll go back to this thing then. So we knew that FN, or no, we didn't get to FN. So we did Barrett and then Colt. So then what about FN with this FN 57 and whatnot? Do they make their own ammo or no? And this is for the people that are listening as well. So we'll see if these two people who are listening, if they're gonna be part of this or not.
I think I'm going to say that they still contract it.
Yeah, and I agree.
Well, it's a weird one. So yes and no, because we don't see their ammo here. But that's because it's too little and by metric. So it's got, or whatever it's called, like it's bimetallic or whatever. It's got multiple metals in the projectile. So because of that and the weights or something, and because it's made for a pistol, probably the 5.7 pistol, right? So it can't be imported. So yeah, they do make it, and FN has been making bullets for a long time, but they don't really import them. So we only get it from other manufacturers, Fiocchi basically, I guess, using Hornady bullets. Puts them together and then sells them. And I guess another brand, I think I seen another brand, Armscore, somebody was making 5.7. But anyway, yeah, because of the importation stuff, we don't see FN. So what about, that's a dumb one. Remington? What about Remington?
Well, I would say yes, but I guess technically not anymore.
Wow, good point. I'm gonna have to check in saying it's maybe mixed production. Factories that were manufacturing that was under their control, and then by contract for the balance, and who knows going forward.
So they started out in one of the first manufacturers. So they started out before a lot of other places even existed. And then in 1888, they were purchased by a place that also owned Union Metallic cartridge, UMC. So they merged in 1912. And that's why we see Remington UMC. And then in 1934, they bought the Peters cartridge companies. And that's why you see the RP on their head stamp for Remington Peters. But yeah, I mean, in the last 5 minutes, the thing I'm looking at here, I think is from 2014. Yeah, the last 5 minutes since this article's been written 5 years ago or 6 years ago now. Yeah, Remington's been sold, and technically, sounds like just weeks ago, they ripped apart the ammo and guns into different, they ripped the bones and meat apart, right? So whatever, who had owned them all for a minute there doesn't, and technically they're not the same anymore, but for basically the longest time they were the same. Definitely a company that both, is known for doing both. How about this one then? What about Winchester?
I'm going to have to say no. I think they're just, the name's just used now.
Another one where I just simply cannot be sure. Anything in the comments?
No, we're just talking to ourselves. Just don't be listening. I don't think they're certainly not paying attention or able to click. Maybe they're handless. We've got a bunch of fingerlesses. We could have a bunch of fingerlesses. That's why they end up watching this show, because they can't click their mouse away. They're like, oh shit, that show's on again, but I'm fingerless. What am I going to do about it? So Winchester starts in 1866, 50 years after Remington. And then in 1931, they get bought by Olin, and Olin owned Western. So eventually they dropped Western and just started calling it Winchester ammo. Then in 1980, Olin sold off the guns and kept the Winchester ammo side going, and kept the name on it. So I guess technically it's not anymore, but again, for the longest time they were. And I mean, I think everybody knows the Winchester rifle and Winchester ammo. They're pretty much, I think them and Remington are the two big ones that people would think of as being both, or, making both. Anyway, so except for that, whatever you call, what do they call it? Acquisition and restructuring type of situations, except for that kind of stuff, whatever the technical names are for ripping apart, shoving together companies and then ripping them apart, and then branding and all that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff lately has really messed with this. But honestly, it hasn't. It's been like that forever. Like everything I research, whatever's old is new again. It's just happening now, but people just don't talk about all the nuts and bolts of that stuff in the old days. When you look at something 30 years later, you just look at the big pieces. Just like 30 years from now, people won't pay attention to every single thing that happened every week. They'll just set the big, bird's eye view of the year, or the situations that are going on with the companies, with what is it, all the different companies that have been acquiring and selling and separating companies. All right, so what about SIG?
No.
There's such a thing as
I
357.
actually think they are making their own ammo.
What?
I said I actually think SIG is making their own ammo, aren't they?
DJ saying no, you're saying yes. Nobody out there is saying anything. So SIG started making their own ammo in 14, but yeah, I don't think that was, I don't know when the 357 SIG came out, actually. I'm still figuring all this stuff out. But I guess they own a factory in Kentucky, and they make their own ammo here. Let's see. Already did all those. Smith & Wesson.
Wait, does SIG rebrand and box for
They may,
retail
yeah.
under another name?
They may have, but in 2014, they bought their own facilities at Sand, and they do own their own ammo facility in Kentucky now.
Okay, so they're in Kentucky, and Winchester is in both Mississippi and Illinois.
Oh shit, Winchester's all over the place. Because again, Olin is in Illinois, and I don't know where else. But the thing is, the ammo companies get big because lead comes from somewhere, and powder comes from all the different components come from places, and those companies are huge because it's really just the accumulation of all those companies, so they have their own supply. It's that kind of thing. So these companies.
I'm back on track.
But where their headquarters are is usually where we end up saying it, or like where their big factory is or something, but I just don't know where they are for that one. What did we do, Wilson already? About Wilson Combat. They don't have their own caliber, but what about ammo?
I'm going to have to say no to that one. I don't even think I've ever seen a box that says Wilson on it.
Well, it says they sell in a custom match grade handgun ammunition, but yeah, I haven't looked for it, but I haven't seen it either. But I also don't buy match grade ammo often.
That's what I was about to say.
It might be something you'd order too if you're fancy. You don't go to the store hoping they have it. You just order it because you're fancy or whatever. You order it with your pinky out on the keyboard.
One of those real big fancy match shooters. Got to have the best of the best.
Yeah, or they have their people do it, like one of their match coordinators does it for them. Anyway, I think that's it. The only other one in here was Nosler, which is stupid. Nosler is a bullet company. They technically make rifles now. They just started making rifles a couple weeks ago. Anyway, it's been kind of neat. I've been researching ammo and came across this, which was, I don't think I've seen that before because we did Smith & Wesson or no? No, we didn't do Smith & Wesson. What'd you say about Smith & Wesson? You afraid to answer that one? What's the deal?
I think back in the day they probably did, but I don't think they are anymore.
I don't know if he fell asleep or he's not playing anymore or doesn't know what's happening or maybe he's got bad internet now. So Smith & Wesson said now they may have Fiocchi make their stuff. But let's see. Or no, I guess in partnership with Fiocchi, Smith & Wesson bought a company or bought an ammo portion of a company in 1972, and they kept it until 1980, and that was in Illinois. So they used Smith & Wesson branding, but, well, I mean, it was theirs. They owned that factory. But it wasn't like Smith & Wesson said, let's start making ammo, and let's clear out a section of the factory, and let's buy stuff. Instead, they just bought a company, or they did buy a company, and they went in on it with Fiocchi, who already knew what they were doing. So they didn't just say, hey, let's build the mouse, let's figure out the mousetrap for the first time. They said, hey, let's get somebody who knows what they're doing, and let's buy, I don't know if that was a dyeing company or what the deal is. I don't know about that company yet. And then I guess they ran it for just 8 years. So something wasn't working, but I do have a bunch of boxes of Smith & Wesson ammo. So like you said, they did technically, but then only for 8 years, I guess. I know people that have shot that ammo too. I hope they feel bad. They're shooting ammo that was only made for 8 years. They basically shot, hopefully, a whole bunch of money away for no reason.
Just shot away collector's items.
That's what I think. You would think there's a lot of Smith & Wesson collectors out there who wouldn't. I mean, I really enjoy. Do I even have Smith & Wesson? I mean, I have a Smith & Wesson Model 1, but I don't think I have a modern Smith & Wesson. But if I did, I certainly, whenever I went to the gun shops and shit, I really liked setting down a Smith & Wesson next to a box of Smith & Wesson ammo. It's just really cool. Blue, has Smith & Wesson logo all over it.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen a box of Smith & Wesson ammo.
Yeah, it's blue, dark blue. It's like Smith & Wesson blue, and then all the writing and the logo and stuff are in white. So it's pretty unique. You'll see it, or you'll notice it when you see it. It's blue, like all solid.
I'm gonna have to see if I can't find a box in 38 Smith & Wesson for that lemon squeezer that I have.
I have, I think I have a 38 and a 3057 and a 9 and a 45. I don't know if there was a 40, no, there wasn't a 40 back then. And I might have a 380. For a while there, whenever it came in, I would grab the box. Because people, that's one of those things that nobody gives a shit about. People don't care about ammo. So if they've got like a weird box, or I don't have a 9mm anymore. So they just bring in all their 9mm ammo. They don't care if a box of it is some crazy Smith & Wesson ammo that was made for 8 years. And that's just the one I know about. Imagine how many weird things of ammo are out there only for a little while. There was a place here in town, like a gun shop, that I guess in the basement of the back room or something, they made their own ammo for a while, like reloaded ammo. And it was super cheap, and it was great for just going out to the desert and shooting or whatever back in the day, because it was super cheap. And you would just get it in like a plastic bag, where that kind of plastic bag where they kind of iron it, and that creates, one side of the plastic bag and cuts it at the same time. And then I guess it's a tube technically, and then they fill it with some shit, and then they do that same thing, and it kind of mean, it's basically like a big bag of potato chips almost, except smaller, a heavier duty bag, but like a bag of potato chips is. So I've got a bag of that stuff that's just neat. I mean, it was probably a $4 bag of ammo back in the old days. Just the cheapest thing you could buy to go shoot at the range, and I just never busted into it. But every time I bring that out, especially if we go shooting and I bring it out, like it brings back so much memories for everybody. And that's just for us in Tucson who happen to remember that shop and I guess that era of buying cheap ammo and just going to the deserts and shit. I seen a really neat display of shotgun shell. Actually, I've seen a bunch of them, but a couple of them I guess that stand out as really like interesting shotgun shell box displays. Like that stuff was just neat. And I don't know if they were trying to prove something or compete or just having fun, but they really did some interesting art, some fun art on those shotgun shell boxes over the years.
Yeah, I've got different boxes of 300 Savage ammo because a lot of times if I go to the gun shows, finding modern ammo that's 300 Savage is about as common as the older boxes. So some of those old boxes, I bet you, are probably from the 50s, and they're pretty neat to look at.
I picked up a box of Russian clean bore 4570 that says it's for use in the Maxim machine gun. That'd be super cool. I don't know if I've seen that. Does it say it really big, or it just happens to say it in tiny writing on the back? I've seen so many boxes of ammo. I really, really like ammo, but I can't, there's not too much to retain, I guess. It's worse than going through like old magazines or something. 'Cause it's so heavy and some of it you really can't touch. But just sometimes I'll, I guess, poke around, I guess, at somebody's collection at a gun show or something, or whatever they're selling, at a gun show. Every once in a while when somebody gets the old boxes, but they do some kind of weird heat shrink with some kind of plastic so that it heat shrinks up and you don't have to worry about breaking all the boxes when you touch them. That's what I really enjoy, like when they're old and you can tell they're old and they're in there, but you don't have to worry about breaking them. Because it's no fun looking through somebody's collection if you feel like if you're going to do something wrong, you're going to rip the side off a box or stack it wrong and ruin a box or something.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where I was looking at old boxes of ammo and the guy had like, $10 on it. I'm like, all right, cool. $10 for a box of 300 Savage is actually a really great deal. Then I'll get home and there's only like 12 rounds in it. And I didn't ever open it up there because the box is old as crap. You could tell it's tattered and worn. And I mean, I was still getting a good deal on the ammo, even with 12 rounds in it, because if I were to buy a brand new box today, it's probably going to be about $35 for 20 rounds. So even then, I was, like I said, getting a good deal. But if I would open the box, I'd have been like, "Whoa, there's only 12 in here."
All right, well, we're at 50 minutes. Did sort of a little quizzy thing here. Did you got any requests? I think you grabbed something from the store. Well, if you didn't, I owe you something from earlier in the week. So if anybody's got any requests for their free patch stuff, a couple of people did buy stuff from the store this week. Or today, I should say.
Yeah, I left you a special note.
Oh, is this my mic?
What? We heard something. I don't know if he's saying stuff or not. We heard something for a second there. I probably have a skull in around. I don't know if I have them. I haven't lifted up the thing. Nobody's been buying anything, so I don't. The store is just basically a big pegboard with a sheet on top of it. So I don't lift up the feet unless somebody buys something. So I haven't really paid attention what's under there.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because you said one of the spam cam patches that I was trying to order, the store said you were out of, and then you said you looked and you had a handful more or something like that, and you actually have them back on the store now.
Yeah, that happens all the time. Like I have this little book thing that's got the pages are made out of Velcro. So I'll take that thing and put it in the van. And if I drive somewhere or go somewhere, especially on a long trip, I'll bring it in the house and load it up with whatever I got a lot of. So that I've got stuff to trade or give away or whatever. And then I'll put that thing in the van and totally forget about it. So then I'll go out there and go like, oh, look at this thing, and open it and be like, oh, look at that. I've been out of this at the store for 6 months and there's 10 of them in here. Or this will happen also. I'll be going on a trip or like going to DC or something. And I'll be like, oh, let me grab a bunch of these patches just in case, right? I'll grab like 20 or something and put them, like a handful of them, in a baggie or in a bag or something, and then stick it in the pouch or something of a backpack. Or at SHOT Show, we do this all the time. And then here, take these 10 and give them away or hand them out or trade them or whatever you're going to do. And then 3 years later, the dude will go like, well, here, I never used these at SHOT Show. So I'll just get, 10 patches out of nowhere. And there's no way to plan for that. So that'll happen. But again, you can't make it happen or know when it's going to happen, because usually it's whatever I had, an abundance of. Like right now, I have a bunch of those blue Every Second Matters of white lettering. But 5 minutes ago, I had a bunch of the yellow ones. I don't even barely have 2 yellow ones for myself. I gave so many of them away. I was like, oh shit, I wasn't paying attention, I guess. I didn't put any on hold. So anyway, that's what happens. There's inevitably going to be some of them that'll find their way through or something.
Yeah, I have a mission for myself now where I'm going to try and hunt down all the Every Second Matters patches that I don't have and try and figure out stuff to trade for them or just buy them off of people that don't want them anymore or something.
Well, the best thing is people are like, Every Second Matters, that was a scam. I hate it. Like, so then you go over to them and be like, hey, I'll trade you for that Every Second Matters patch you hate anyway. And they're like, hell yeah. So yeah, it should work out really well, because they're out of all the 100 or whatever were sold, there's probably at least 10 people or more that are like, I hate this patch and I wish I'd throw it away, except I paid $20 for it. I paid $10 for it, or whatever the hell it costs.
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to make a video here soon, putting out an APB for all the colors that I don't have.
I figure we create a giant aftermarket for them, and then tons of people will be buying them on speculation. I'll get all the wheelers and dealers buying them in mass for out of speculation. It's all a scam. It's all a big scheme. Oh dang! I shouldn't have said that live. Well, the wheelers and dealers ain't listening. It's too late for them. I guess your mic is dead. It says it's muted right now. I just noticed that you said that in there. But we heard you say something like, "Rah, rah, rah," and then it didn't come up again. Like you're unmuted now, but we don't hear nothing.
Yeah, you kind of sounded like the parents in Charlie Brown.
Oh, I can hear that you're saying something, but it's really muted. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like you're talking through a wall, and we're on the other side of the room from the door you're behind.
You're a Nebraska guy. You surely heard catfish talk. That's what it kind of sounded like just now.
Now we're getting a weird echo that you can hear a little louder.
Yeah.
This is the phone? No, you need to know he's gone. I kicked him out of here. I can't handle when people don't have perfect audio. I kick them out.
Then it is a wonder that you have not kicked me out of here more often. I don't think you've ever actually kicked me out before.
Well, I don't actually kick anybody out. You just dropped. But I guess we're going to end it. We've got only Erstwhile, I think, is the only one out there. hopefully everything's going good with what we were talking about the other day. Hopefully everything's on the up from that, like on the downhill or whatever you want to call it, like the good end of coming out of it, the recovery side of it, whatever you want to say. Otherwise, we got the 2A rally coming up on the 24th. All of a sudden, it turns out that the AZCDL has a rally tomorrow. I'll be simulcasting that live, I guess. If I can. I mean, I don't think I have anything else that I can't move around tomorrow. And then, well, like I say, I think it was that's on next Saturday already. It'll be a couple of weeks from now on a Saturday, the 24th of October is the 2A rally. Every time I look at, I guess they've been trickling out new guest speakers or whatever, but you know, as soon as they came out with the first two, like posters or whatever they're called with the speakers on it, that was 12 or 14 speakers or something. I already could tell that it was going to be a better deal than the gun rights policy conference in so many ways. First, it's just one day instead of two, which is better for what it's attempting to accomplish. And although there's a bunch of speakers, it'll be a while. It'll be too much for some people, and it'll be probably not enough for a couple of people, but it'll be a decent amount, I think, to get the idea that there's a lot of perspectives and points of view on this whole thing, and you don't have to just be some kind of 100% pro-gun or whatever your delusions are of what gun owners are, that we've got a lot of nuance. I think it's going to show that. And the people they've got, maybe there's a couple there that I'm a little skeptical of, but the others I've heard speak so many times and I'm confident they're going to have something interesting to say. And I think they're going to say something new or something like appropriate. So I'm looking forward to actually listening to it. In other words, it's not like going to be a bunch of canned speeches that we're just going to hear again. So if you're able to stick around for that, a couple of weeks on the 24th of October, check it out. If you haven't attended a live seminar like that, it's a thing. I mean, just like anything, you have to make plans for it and do the effort to, cancel other plans and be there, and then find a way to sit in front of a computer for that long if it's not something you're used to. But on the other hand, it's got to be a lot easier than traveling to Washington, D.C. No, it's cheaper for everybody, for most all of us, than traveling to Washington, D.C. And we need people in these events that are comfortable with online live situations. When these events draw a bunch of people who are new to online, new to virtual, it's awkward and frustrating and unnecessary. There's no need for us to start over, like watching people become introduced to the internet or introduced to online conversation. In fact, it's detrimental to our forward momentum. When we sit around and wait for the new people to understand and catch up, there's nothing accomplished except a delay. When the people who are comfortable and able get in there and talk to each other and use the platforms for the best possible purposes for effective communication that enhances the message and adds links or ask questions to the speakers if possible, if it's set up that way, or again just add nuance. That kind of stuff is awesome. And instead of having a bunch of new people dominate the conversation like we saw at the Gun Rights Policy Conference, get scared, confused, clutch their pearls, as Cheryl Todd would say, or piss themselves, as I would say, and have to be hindered by our weakest links, those people should be on bleachers experiencing it from the seats, while the people who, like you, who understand the chats and can have a conversation in the text chat competently, you people should be watching the chat and participating to bring those others up to your level so that they can see that they are the newbies in this situation. They might know a lot about their area of interest, but they are the ones holding us back with the evolution of online conversation and the most effective use of these tools. I'm saying that to 4 people, but I think it's, if anybody else does listen to this, spread the word. I think it's all the more apropos or accurate to say value your voice. And if we just observe these things, if competent people continue to observe judge or dismiss based on the inexperienced amateurs that attempt, then when do we ever move forward? We have to work together and collaborate, offer assistance, and be able to leave people behind when they just insist on sucking or exploiting. Is Night Strike gonna host? It's good to hear the second part of that. No, Night Strike has had the opportunity to participate, but no one is looking to host it on any one platform. From as far as I could tell, the Gun Rights Policy Conference was never going to host it on one platform and was more than interested in hosting it on multiple platforms. And there was an introduction made with the 2A conference thing, or the 2A rally. It's now called the Rally for Your Rights 2A rally because it's under the direction of the the 2A, what's it called? I just said the Rally for Your Rights banner is a bunch of people who understand the internet. So they would host it anywhere that was welcoming and that offered. I'll leave it at that. Well, you can have that opinion and I can have that opinion, but he'll have a different opinion. But yeah, so you can lead the horse to water, and then it's up to them to decide if they want to drink or make an opportunity out of the situation, right? But anyway, the rally will take place on the 24th on the YouTube, and I'm urging people that are capable and competent, efficient, and effective in their use of the text chats to participate. Nobody has to sit there the whole time, but if instead of observing, if you can be part of it, I think that's going to move our conversation forward. When I attempted to keep the conversation on 2A in the off-air meeting, what do they call it? The off-air cocktail party at the Gun Rights Policy Conference on Friday, I was literally told to leave because they were there to talk about booze and let their hair down. I was literally told that. And I don't care. I can be told that. I'll leave. I'm not, I said, I'm not trying to change somebody's mind about shit. Saturday, though, I said, hey, let's talk about 2A. And I was answered with, yeah, let's dig in and talk about 2A. In fact, people were like, hey, we're going to keep talking about 2A even after they close the room. So don't give up. And just because they aren't interested in doing it on Friday, try it on Saturday. Not everybody gives a shit, and the people that do ain't always there. So we can keep using these platforms. Anyway, Woods jumped in. They lure him in with these bacon cartoons. He doesn't even know. He's just like following the bacon cartoons. Like if there was a bunch of M&Ms on the floor, peanut butter M&Ms.
So you're telling me that I don't understand reinforcement?
What? No, I'm just saying you're just doing that as reflex. Like I don't even think
So
realize this isn't a piece of bacon. You just kept clicking on shit, and now you're in a live chat.
Right. So it's kind of like Pavlov's Lem the dog.
Yeah, exactly. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
I didn't see. I literally just walked in here, and I don't know what conference you were saying. Which is 24th.
So the 24th. So like last year, there was the one and only 2A rally at Washington, D.C. to bring together the community physically in a time when people were challenging the concept of the viability or the usefulness or even I don't think I'm saying the right word with the V in it. Like if it can actually happen or not, right?
Right.
And so they did it, and it did happen, and it was intentional withdrawal of funding from the NRA by a certain amount of people. And instead of just leaving that money set on the table, they diverted money that would have gone to the NRA. They were so dissatisfied as big investors in the NRA that they wanted to invest that money in something. So they invested it in permits and promotion of an event on November 2nd. And it was a one-time thing, and the money was given just for that. And there was no three-letter organizations and no political parties, and nobody could claim it. It was just a thing that happened, and it was a circumstance. So of course it's happening again and again. So then what happened is everybody created it and then dropped it, right? Because that's exactly what was supposed to happen. And then somebody said, well, if you're just going to leave it lay here, can I use it? And then everybody looked at each other and went, well, I guess. So that's where we're at. So they're going to have another one, and they already got the permits and shit for the second one. But then they said, oh, you can only have 50 people show up. So they're like, all right, we'll quit. Like we'll cancel it, I guess, and then just do it online. So they started doing the concept of the virtual rally. So it'll be the continuation, quote unquote, but not really. The reanimation is probably the best way to say it, of last year's situation, with the same flag, because no one can own the flag. It's just a thing, and the same kind of name, but it's mostly just the concept, the reanimation of the concept, because it wasn't. Nobody's going to care, basically, is the thing. So they're starting it over. It's like under new management, you could say. It's under management, I guess now you could say, because before it was just let's do like a Woodstock. Let's just make it happen, and then everybody will leave and leave all the mess for New York to clean up, like, except without that attitude. But let's just do it and never do it again. Let's just do it to say we did it, and then F you, NRA, we didn't need your help, and we did it, and then walk away. And they did, except then somebody's like, well, I want to do it again. So anyway, that's what we're talking about, is that. And then, like I say, they couldn't do it again, so they're doing it virtually. And what I was just going to say, I was just saying how you see a couple of different like posters or whatever going up on Instagram that talk about the different speakers, and they've been kind of rationing the speaker list so that they don't blow this whole speaker list in one post.
Makes sense.
Right? And just to kind of get everybody's attention on it. So anyway, as I've been watching these posts, I was like, it's going to be so much better than gun rights policy. Gun rights policy was super boring and long and unedited and just poor. It was a thing, but it wasn't good, right? Like, no one would want to watch it. If you had to watch it, or you did watch it out of some obligation, but you should have gotten some kind of like congratulations for sitting through that, not falling asleep or becoming anti-gun. So this looks like the opposite. This looks like it's going to be long, which is good, because you can't do something effective and be like, 17 memes and then high five and, peace out or whatever. So, it's going to be long enough to make it, you got to sit through it and you feel like you've accomplished something, but it's a day. So it's not like forever. And there'll be some, I'll bet you, I'm just thinking there's going to be better editing, just because it's done with people who aren't doing this for the first time online, and who aren't experimenting. Like, they've already done, all these people that are involved have done this either all the time or pretty much all the damn time, or have been involved with it, right? So anyway, so it's going to be just a more interesting situation, and the people involved are actually representative of our diverse community, and not the same old people who just get an invite because they're the shoulders on who we stand. I mean, they're definitely people who have already done the work, but if they're not doing work anymore, then hearing from them is simply extra, right? Like,
right.
The people that are out there doing stuff tomorrow or yesterday and tomorrow, that's what I want. I think that's who the people who are new to this whole thing, and the people that are, well, for example, you could watch an entire Saturday of the gun rights policy conference, and how many women do you think are in the 2A? That's just women. It's easy to pick on women, but pick any subsection of the community, and how many were represented, how many just different types of shooting sports or types of shooting activity were represented. Zero. It was monolithic. You're either into self-defense or we acknowledge that you exist. It was, not open. And I don't know if this one is going to be, but it's only its first year. I just think that it's going to end up, it just looks like it's potentially going to be leaps and bounds ahead of what they attempted with that other one.
Is there speakers that that they've released so far that you would look forward to seeing?
I don't look forward to seeing anybody because I'm old crotchety already. So let's open up this. Don't be scared. I'm going to open up my monitor, and it's wider than regular people's monitor.
You've told me that before, yeah.
I don't want to hurt feelings or have any problems out there. Now I'm going to go to the internet, and I'm going to go to the Instagram. I'm going to go to, oh, look at this. I happen to have the rally flag patches right here. So if you went to it last year, you can purchase this one. And if you went to it, or you're going to go to this year, so you can purchase this one, because we're capitalists. And then this is the place that we're talking about, 2A Rally on Instagram. And if they're on other platforms, I don't really care because I don't go to other platforms anymore, really. So here's what you asked. We're going to have Mantha Cool and Chris Chang and Dana Loach and Iraqi veteran 808088. I don't know who this guy is. Maj Toure, Rebecca Schmoy. I don't know who that guy is. Oh, that's the same. There's another one though. What do they call themselves? Locked and Loaded Latinos. So the Sunday podcast, which is pretty much better than most podcasts anymore.
Right.
Tony Simon, who is basically just one of scams. I did this whole patch thing to scam this guy out of a shit ton of patches. So that guy, Yuta, Pew Pew Jew guy. I don't know who she is.
Yeah.
But she needs to. I'd like to see more. I'm more interested in her opinions. This guy is Eric Pratt, is the new boss of the Gun Owners America. He's pissed. Look how he's yelling. Then you got,
So a bunch of those people.
I want to say Diana Mueller, but it's not. I always say Mueller, and that's not her name. So how else would you say Mueller?
Oh, it's too small for me to read it. It's the DC Project lady, right?
Yeah, Mueller. Diana Mueller. I always say it wrong. I just want to start saying it right. And then this guy from some radio show, and then some other guy I don't know. So there is definitely white dudes who I don't know, but there's a whole bunch of other different people in it. And that's only the two. Oh, no, here's another one. Then you got Alan Gottlieb, who would run the Second Amendment Foundation. So that's even better because he's seeing a decent one happen. Hopefully he'll pay attention, and his kid, who's going to take over at some point, like they always do, will pay attention to how this one's run so they can see how it's competently done. Then you got Rhonda Mary. I don't know. She was on somebody's show the other day. What show was she on? She was on Locked and Loaded on Sunday. She baby talks. It's tough. I don't know. I'm getting too old and crotchety, but I can't deal with that. Listening to an adult baby talk.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
can't. She's probably saying something good because she's on here, but I don't know. Then this guy, I have no idea who he is. I don't know. She is one of the things. I don't remember which one she is.
But there's more diversity for sure.
Yeah. And then you got her. I don't know who she is. She's some girl. And then you got Cheryl Todd. You got KD. And then you got Aaron Paulette.
She's amazing.
Some other who? Aaron or Clint or Aaron?
Aaron Paulette. Like that's be yourself, and guns are for everyone. Like you go, girl.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tony Simon's just funny. He's like a stand-up comedian and a gun rights activist. I think that guy's amazing.
Yeah, really good about Tony.
Shoot guns because for free, just so you know what they are. I mean, who does that? Just Tony.
Well, other people do it, but yeah, Tony does it for a long time and shares it with everybody, and stays enthusiastic about it.
Right. Yeah. Have you ever seen Tony Simon be like sad or like we're never gonna win or anything? He's always just like right there with like, we could do this.
So that's pictures from last year, but that's I think there must be more because that's 8. So 16 and then 24. Maybe that is about it.
And
24. Yeah.
I could listen to Cheryl Todd talk every day, all day. Remember you had her, and I asked her that question where she get her cadence from, and it's from her church days.
Really? Yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do that. I had actually sent out a couple of emails to be like, "Hey, I'd like to do an interview," and even before when I was doing it, I'd be like, "Here's what I want to talk about. 20 minutes or so, like a third of the show. I talk for an hour. 20 minutes on what you did or what you do. 20 minutes on why you do it, and then 20 minutes on how you do it."
Yeah, those were great.
Yeah, because that's all I care about. And it wasn't exactly easy. Like I couldn't get not everyone would be like, "Oh, sure, let's do that." Like there was people that said, "Nope." So I've been sending out emails to try to get people to do it, and I don't even get replies anymore. So I don't know what the deal is. Like, they don't even answer the emails to say, nah, fuck off or something. But it's also a crazy year, so it's not like people are in the mode of, I got nothing else to do, so let's chat, or I need money, so let's promote my shit or whatever. That's usually when you get people on the show. For me.
Yeah, it's just definitely a weird year for everyone. Do you think you mentioned earlier that, like, in watching this one that's upcoming, you think that the gun rights policy coalition can come up with like a better version? Do you think that might influence them at all? If they see it shown better? Because I tried to watch their one, to be honest with you, man. And I love guns, but it was boring as fuck.
Yeah, I think it will, because it was all Alan for however many 35 years, and I don't think and I don't know him or nothing, but it doesn't seem like he's desperately running around trying to run the show. I've seen him at 4 gun rights policy conferences now, and considering you technically have to say he's the head because he's the boss of the organization that's running it, he's got the kind of style where he's got either no concern or ultimate faith in, or ultimate confidence in the people that are doing whatever they're doing. So he either could care less or he's got ultimate faith, because he just walks around completely chill, basically spending the time up front, paying attention to what people are saying, or, obviously he's got a lot of people that want to just say stuff to him or whatever, attending to all of that, hanging out up front to do that, like up by the stage. And then occasionally or periodically walk through the place to go out front, like where the smokers are usually, to let his dog out, because his dog, little dog, walks around with him all the time. So he'll let his dog out, a bunch of times, it's a little tiny dog. So he lets it out all the time. And then again, he gets an opportunity to see how it's going and talk to everybody. But he's never been like, oh my God, this didn't happen on time, or there's not enough booklets, or why isn't this table where it's supposed to be? Like, I've never even seen him chill and stress about anything like that. So I can't imagine, and his kid seems competent. And,
is it possible somebody else runs it and they just don't really have much to do with it?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if that's the case, then that signifies that's an indication that the guy isn't like, I have to do it my way. He just has it done, right? So, and I think his kid's confident, and he seems like he's letting his kid do what he wants. So if the kid, who is, I think, going to be running it, Andrew, if he sees the differences, and again, he's only done it once, so who knows how good his second one's going to be anyway. He's only had one chance to do it. Nobody can judge you on one time. So once he gets to see what this one can do, yeah, I mean, everything about what I've seen from both of them leads me to believe that they're going to absorb everything good and apply it, hopefully. The thing is, they probably have different obligations, obviously. I mean, it's a bigger event, and it's got a tradition, and it's got some, I don't know if it's, it's got some things they do, like the saying of the minutes and the new business or something. Like, there's different things that are procedural, I guess, that they're going to have to deal with because they're an actual organization, where the 2A rally is just a bunch of people getting together. It has no
Right.
formality to it or anything. So except for that, I would say that they're probably going to absorb a lot, and I would look forward to the next gun rights policy. I just I don't also have any confidence or reason to believe that it would do a 180 and the gun rights policy would do a 180 and be awesome next year. Yeah. Hopefully, and probably this one will learn something from how boring the gun rights policy conference was, because the people that are running this one aren't boring, and they had to watch it. I know they were watching. Well, no, not all of them, because gun rights policy was on the same weekend as the Solutionary Summit. So that means right off the bat, some people like Mike Sedini, who's decent and is able to talk, with people of different types and paces and cadences and all the rest. He had to make a decision. He was at one of them, so he couldn't even watch the other one. So their decision to even do it on the same weekend is like 2 other events. Probably not. It's awesome, considering they have a whole year to do a virtual one.
Do you think this one will be a lot of pre-recorded things? Like,
It is, yeah. It already, I think everybody's already talked about how they already did it. But they're sending it to people who have dealt with videos forever and live stuff for a long time and the internet as long as it's been around. So it'll be night and day difference. I mean, if you go look at the Second Amendment Foundation's website, it's the same website they started with in 1999 or something. So they're online, but they're not anywhere near, running around competent online. They're just keeping up online. And I'm not saying I am. I can just tell when I'm looking at what's brand new or not. And the other stuff is just newer, so I suspect it'll be.
is that DJ that joined us there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me again?
Oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
Excellent. I hope this sticks with that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the rally later this month, and I think I mentioned the other night that I'm going to do do a live, kick a live YouTube link out and have a watch party. And I'm really looking forward to seeing everybody be able to interact again as a group, because coming off the PRC, I'm jonesing already for something to participate in, virtual or in person.
Is there some way to do like get like a, I don't know, whatever the good pizza place is, maybe Pizza Hut or something good, that's pretty much everywhere, get some kind of credit card with them or something? I guess you could just use any credit card, but then do something where, I don't know, instead of just being boring or just having like, hey, you won a sticker pack that you might see 6 days from now or something, you can be like, okay, you won, so what's your address? And then ding, like there's pizza at your front door in half an hour.
That'd be pretty cool.
That's a freaking great idea.
When you said having a whatever new party, I'm like, how do you make it a party? So that brings me to another question. Has anybody ate these nachos that are supposedly being delivered? I don't understand how that works and still is good.
Nachos delivered?
Yeah, like the pizza place, either Domino's or Pizza Hut, I forget, is offering. I don't see commercials very often, so it must have been on a computer, like on a YouTube commercial. But yeah, I seen is it Little Caesars? Who has a big long pizza box?
Yeah, Little Caesars does. And speaking of the nachos, I think it's Taco Bell that has a current promotion where it's like some party trough of Supreme nachos or something, like a 6-footer, taking a cue from Subway sandwich shops or something.
Oh, then that's probably what I seen. And then they must just be delivering it now, is all it is.
Yeah, through like DoorDash or one of those other ones.
I just couldn't see because, I mean, I'm assuming it's the kind of not a cheese out of a can, not real cheese, but like squirt cheese. That stuff gets hot in a heater and then gets cold, and then it's just, cold. So that's why I'm wondering how that could actually work in a delivery situation where you're putting tomatoes on it and stuff. Just seems like that barely lasts all the way out to the table from the kitchen, like how would it get to your house? I don't know, maybe they put in some kind of heater in the car, I guess.
Or one of those bags that keeps it heated.
The Taco Bell delivery guy is gonna pull up to your house just drenched in sweat. Can't wait to get back in the car just so you can throw on the AC.
Gross. I spent a Christmas break my freshman year in college delivering for Domino's, and that's while I was there because it was winter in the Midwest. It was the first year, so it would have been Christmas '88. They had those insulated bags, and I think it was Pizza Hut that pioneered the plug-in electric bags that you just disconnect, shove the pieces of the pies in, and close the flap with Velcro, and yank the cord off the back, and went out to your car. I don't order pizza in though, so I don't know if people get it hot or cold, and I don't think anybody gets it anymore for 30 minutes or free.
Yeah, definitely not free.
Yeah, most places around here, if they're going to deliver, it's a minimum 35 minutes.
All right, let's get some coffee. They could do gun delivery. That'd be pretty good. Like a van could drive up to your place, and then you could either go into the van, or they could have like the roll-up sides, and then have all the guns on pegboards.
Oh my God, an ice cream truck that just is a mobile gun shop. That'd be incredible.
What song would it play?
It wouldn't have to be a whole gun shop, because you could have one for just like Glocks, another one for just SIGs or something, right? And then that way they wouldn't have to cram so many in there. They could focus on just one kind.
I think the song they might play would be a song by the Welsh band The Alarm. They had a single called 68 Guns. And I think that with a little bit of the glockenspiel, little bell tinkles for the little kids, I think that 68 Guns blaring from the overhead speaker on the ice cream truck would be great.
I dig it.
You just drive some neighborhood with like a little Mac, doing bursts into the air as he drives around to get everybody's attention.
Well, I wouldn't recommend that here, because they actually have echolocation here in Omaha, so that anytime there's something in the that breaks the sound barrier, they know exactly where it came from. So I'm not sure about those Mac bursts.
Well, they could use blanks to be safer, but then just get some kind of prior thing so that they know, oh, that's just a Mack truck. No big deal.
DJ, you need to start playing with bullwhips just to mess with that system.
Just might.
Yeah, they got those here in Tacoma too. They can triangulate. They're supposedly listening for gunshots, because the government would never use giant mics to listen for anything else.
I think if I was driving around an ice cream truck that was a mobile gun shop, I'd probably just play the national anthem, because then anybody that is patriotic should technically stop and stand for the national anthem, and then that's probably your target clientele as well.
I just have this image of like a bunch of 50-year-old fat guys like me running down the street trying to chase after him, like, come back.
Waving the dollar bills in our hands. Please, wait. Yeah, totally, man.
Then they get up there. Do you have a layaway? Yep, I'll be back next month.
Yes, can I have the credit card? The ammo truck is going back.
Oh, that's a good one. Just ammo. Shit, we'd all be running down the street. They wouldn't make it.
Oh, damn! You wouldn't even have to drive it up and down the streets. You just park yourself on a corner and wait to get for your supply to disappear.
Like an hour, I'd be all over it. Yeah.
This would be the perfect thing for me. Be a food truck / a gun truck. Being guns and barbecue and all.
Well, we also know somebody that has a van now. I'm just saying.
They make a kind where, what was it called? Anyway, they made a kind specifically for that, where it had solid door. It was no windows on the driver's side, windows on the passenger side, so that you could knock them out and be whatever, like an ice cream truck or whatever. You could cram into a small van. But these vans are too small to do stuff in. You need a bread truck type of van.
Yeah, no doubt.
Or that new kind, Ford and Mercedes make, those big square rectangle looking ones. One of them.
Could you retrofit a food truck? Those are generally, if they didn't have all the ovens and stuff in there, there'd be plenty of room.
Yeah, exactly. That's a bread truck, basically. Even bigger, I guess, actually. But yeah, definitely. But you could leave some of the benches and things to make like a gunsmithing area, perhaps.
Yeah, those Ford Transit vans are pretty slick. The Mercedes ones are great. They have more headroom behind the drivers, and those, of course, are going to get infinitely better gas mileage than some old beat up carbureted 8 that's been circling city streets and country lanes for 40 years.
I've seen a trailer. I forget which company, but some company that sold Targets. I think it was either Targets or a training company. I think it was Targets. They had this trailer though, and it's like a dual axle. It had like 4 wheels on each, 2 on each side, so it could carry a lot of weight. And then it was really low to the ground, and then, but just for a regular truck, like nothing fancy, like a fifth wheel or anything. And then they would drive it up, and it was probably weighed less than a horse trailer, even with all the stuff on it. But anyway, they would just drive it up into, downrange down in some bay or whatever, and leave it. And then like these iron panels or steel panels probably flipped out in front of the wheels, so you couldn't hit the wheels. And if you did, it would deflect up, I guess. And then the back of it was just like a whole kind of situation of metal, and it was designed to show off all their different like steel to shoot at. So it had the kind of dueling tree and Texas Star type of shit, kind of all, like a piece of art or something, like all smashed together. So they didn't have to do anything. They just kind of stopped, flipped these sides down, probably flipped a couple of panels up, or maybe, undid some things that they didn't flop around while they were driving. But for the most part, they just sort of like had this, ready to go steel setup, and it was, you just sit there all day shooting at it. It's just steel. So you have one of them as a trailer, and then all your guns and stuff, and then you just stop and you set your trailer up, pull your keep going, move your van over here about 50 yards away or whatever, and then you just set up shop, shoot right out the back or something, right at your trailer. You could probably do something like that, and then at the top of that trailer have some sort of a pulley system, like a ski lift, and then run targets back and forth to the thing, like run a clothesline basically between wherever you park your van and the trailer, and then run some sort of target situation too.
Nice.
Yeah, actually pretty neat. Like I say, that was I'm pretty sure it was a Target company. I think what it was, now that I'm thinking about it, this range we would go to sometimes for like sporting, like competition shooting, and sometimes for matches or something, like just a weekend match, and then sometimes for classes, and then sometimes just to go shooting. I'm pretty sure it was like whatever the event was, it was something like all the club members were invited, and there was going to be food, and there was going to be some live fire, and then, at a certain time they'd probably shut the range down and eat or drink or whatever, and then shut the range back on and do night fire. It was like one of those kind of events, but this range isn't huge, so probably just hundreds of members, not thousands, right? And I think it was something like that. It might have been for, maybe they did like a firefighter versus the cops match or something that was sort of like a big barbecue and party. And I think we were out there doing something like just practicing as they were setting that up, and that's when we seen it. I think that might have been what it was. So it might not have been so much a thing selling the targets as just something you rent, like something that they wheel in when you rent it from them, because that could be the same kind of thing, almost like a amusement thing for shooters. And if that's the case, I wonder if you could do that for a living. How much could you make just dragging around a really elaborate, awesome thing to shoot at, or maybe a couple of them, and then just hire yourself out every weekend to events like that? Maybe bring guns. How cool would that be? Being a SOT or something. So I'm going to bring a whole bunch of steel and stuff to empty your ammo into. Just I bring everything but the ammo, because the ammo would cost you a lot to drag around, and you'd have to source it. But you could drag around guns and targets. And if you had that Punisher van thing that we're talking about, you could fix your machine guns as you're driving. Sounds like a nice business. If you had to, you could run dark ops real quick in between sessions. Make a couple extra bucks.
Does that Punisher van come with a microchip? The character micro?
Do they find everything for you and makes everything, fixes everything?
Yeah, because I definitely would need one of those. I don't. I can't. I'm not an armorer of any sort.
Just get one of them internet know-it-alls. There's like a whole bunch of them watch this show all the time. And they don't say anything. The ones that lurk, can hire one of them.
Make him just in the corner.
Huh? Well, they're not going to say much. They
Yeah,
like charge them, they'll probably just sit in the corner, yeah, fixing things. Here's a gun to fix. Okay.
So, what kind of plans does anybody have for this weekend?
I'm liking the extra day off. I have an extra day off.
Why is there an extra day off?
Columbus Day.
Oh, you racist. Your state ain't even woke. Come on.
Oh no, I work for the tribe, man. It's Indigenous Peoples Day.
Oh, okay. We don't even celebrate that shit, I don't think. We don't celebrate.
Oh, most people, like my wife's got to go to work, but one of the great parts about teaching is we get all the stupid holidays.
I mean, I think Arizona refuses to acknowledge it or something.
I'm probably just going to get ready for duck hunting next weekend.
You guys don't do daylight saving time either.
And wasn't Arizona the first state to make official Martin Luther King Day?
I don't know. We're pretty woke, so it sounds like something we would do.
Yeah, no doubt. I see. Now that I'm woke to Arizona even more, I see that you guys are at the top of a lot of lists. Especially for those of us who have this mutual interest, as far ranging as it might be in these conversations. So, damn, Sam, I might have to motor southwest sometime soon.
Where are you at now, DJ?
Stuck in the heartland of our country. I'm in Omaha, Nebraska, on the Missouri River.
Oh, cool.
Is a perk that you get Mutual of Omaha insurance for free? Like everybody just gets that for being Nebraska?
I sort of wish that might be the case. I lived for more than a decade, 5 blocks from the joint, and my dad's second wife worked for them. But no, I grew up with Marlon Perkins and the Omaha's Wild Kingdom show, and I always thought it would be great to meet Marlon himself. And there's a running joke in our city about if you go to Mutual of Omaha and you go to the dome that sits on the north side, the main side of the building, there's actually it's their complexes, because they're spread out over blocks and blocks and blocks in Midtown. It's their cafeteria. And but they say, that if you've never been there, you should go, because Marlon Perkins is stuffed and on a pedestal in the center of the dining room. I attended when my stepmother was an employee there. Marlon isn't stuffed.
It was definitely a foundation thing, though, for a long time.
Yeah, the Wild
Yeah,
Kingdom show
I mean, I was
when we were kids.
So that's something that you can't. How do you express that? I guess that's been the frustration of all time. Like, can you imagine like how big a thing that was, and now how insignificant of a thing it really is compared to everything else? And then how do you explain that to somebody who's freaking out about whatever is today? And they're like, but it's Mutual of Omaha, for crying out loud. They're never going to end. They'll always be is the size that, like they'll always be this significant. They'll always be 25% of Sunday.
Some great shows.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, it was Sunday, right?
I'm pretty sure it was Sunday nights, right?
yes, it was.
I don't remember anymore, but I remember as a little kid, that was it. That was what you lived for. It's like, I'm gonna see some kind of animal on Sunday. Yeah. I'm gonna learn something awesome on Sunday. Like, school sucks compared to Sunday.
Didn't Wonderful World of Disney broadcast after it, or might have been maybe no? I think it was after them.
It did.
I think think it was one of them was first and then the other one, but yeah, I think it might have been the movie after. And this was like, it was like the boring ass news, like the worst, longest news in the world. And then the one and then the other, maybe.
Right on, because I remember Thursday night programmings that would have been parallel in time, and that was Thursday nights. You had the Incredible Hulk, followed by the Dukes of Hazzard.
For sure. Can confirm.
Yep, those are some good times.
Yeah, and I don't know what was going on now I think about it, because pretty much every one of those days we would be out. So our parents must have been digging Thursdays too, because we would always be at somebody's house watching TV. So that must have been their time to like, oh, good, we get to ditch them while they watch TV for 4 hours. And Matchbox cars, like 4 inches from the TV, playing with Matchbox cars. That was your widescreen TV back in the day. Get closer.
What were you guys, Matchbox kids or your Hot Wheels kids?
I didn't care.
Hot Wheels.
Yeah, I was a Hot Wheels kid. Matchbox, I'd be like, nah, that's not on my track.
I don't know. I didn't know.
They were just.
We didn't have track.
Matchbox were just definitely, scale takeoffs, whereas Hot Wheels, that they just went, plastic fantastic, just craziness when it came to design and stuff like that. So now, a more mature response that I have is I go after actually the manufacturer Lensey, Lensey. It's a British, an English company, and they do they're kind of like the English division of Matchbox, and they have just incredible packaging. It's not blister packs like Hot Wheels and stuff. And even better than Matchbox, they are not on a hang card. They're just like you would have to put them on a little shelf, like tiny little car boxes of 22 ammo or something like that. And
that's how Matchbox and stuff work. You got them in a box. I can remember buying them. The thing at the store would like hold all the little boxes in the right order, and the box had the picture of the thing on it before cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. I know the ones you're talking about because I've seen that some show about the England ones. But anyway, we used to have those a long time ago. But I'm pretty sure everybody opened that box and then threw it away. So they probably don't exist very much anymore.
Yeah, I've run across plenty of examples that were, like 9 out of 10 condition on the vehicle, but either didn't come with a box or, a lot of people cut the box, the top side that had the, the representation of the vehicle inside. I found out a lot of people just cut the boxes off of that panel and would put the panel like in their car carrier or something like that, so that they would know exactly which slot to put it back in. Mine were always arranged from my favorite top left to my least favorite bottom right.
That's right. The front was like a window on some of them, and then that's how you could see which ones are which sometimes. But I always got ones that had clearance or that were good, like had opening doors or something. Because I guess somebody must have had a track, but we never played with tracks or anything. I know what you're talking about, where you would like either a gravity or get one of the things that pushes them to like actually race with them. We never did that. We would play in holes or in the bushes and just play them with like little tiny Tonka trucks, I guess, like just race them around and play with them like toy trucks, basically, like racing, I guess, but with our hands, not with like a track where we let go of them or anything.
Well, we did all that, but we had the tracks too. But then we would get in trouble for whacking each other with the track.
Oh yeah. Now, all right. There was a time though when they made slot cars, and you could get slot cars. I don't remember. I guess the track must have been magnetic, or the car was magnetic, so you could get them and run them on a wall. Do you remember those?
Kind of, yeah.
At least it was designed to go up a wall and come back down, but you could just run it on a wall. And anyway, I bought a bunch of those at that time. I was in school and I had just bought a bunch. I may or may not have returned them when I was done with them, but I did own them technically for a little while. And they're just not that fun. I guess they might be fun if like you had You know, like if you were at your aunt's house for the summer and you and your brother or your cousin were given that, like it would probably be really fun. It was either that or look at the wall or something. But I couldn't get into them. It might be funner if you had bigger ones too, like in a real big track, so that they can get more scale speed. But it's so tedious trying to run them little tiny ones on like 4 feet of track or whatever. It's difficult and not fun.
Yeah, the circle track, like Tyco beginners box sets that were just a circle track. Well, it was a crushed oval, actually. Those were almost zero fun after the first couple of hours of pulling those accelerator triggers on the remotes. And I waited until I was in my 30s before I revisited that part of my childhood, and I had a blast. I bought what Tyco's monster set called the Lamborghini Challenge because J.C. Penney was no longer. Go ahead.
Monster, the cars are bigger or just a lot of track ones?
No, a lot of track. I had it set up in a bedroom, and it took all but enough space to sit down cross-legged on the floor and race. So like, oh wow.
Yeah, that is like really fun when it's like that, when you can like make a straightaway and then have an actual strategy. And then if I remember right, you could make it where like you didn't have to run a track. You could set it up to where there was splits and you could make a decision and then it would come back together and you could go left or right at places and then cross, intersections and stuff. So on a lot of track, yeah. I would think it would be way more fun.
Oh, it is, and it was. I haven't cracked it out in a while, and based on tonight's conversation, I might have to go dust it off and find it in the basement.
What are we talking a lot of track? Like, is it by feet or not?
My memory for that is so poor right now, but I can tell you that with loops and spirals and a bunch of other stuff, plus sectioning in that the crawl the wall loop that you were talking about earlier, yeah, I put all that into like 90 to 120 square feet. So it's massive. The box is as big. What would I compare it to? Okay, putting together 2 long rifle cases. That's how big it was. How big it is when I bought it.
You mean the box just of all the taken apart stuff?
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
Oh, and it was.
I'm looking at images. I've just been sitting here trying to see, because what I did, here, Lamborghini Championship, 60 feet of racing action is what they're saying.
And then
do you know what was that? Was that like only adults can afford it, or was that like, it's a toy and it's less than $100? Like, was that expensive or was that not a big deal?
No, it was like easily 150 plus.
Well, that's
because I can remember. Yeah, I can remember the ones in the J.C. Penney Christmas Wish catalog, and that's why I pursued the Lamborghini tracks, because those in the 70s were $100, and they were even more immense in track feet than what I was able to purchase 30 years later. So. And I did have other sets that I picked up like on eBay and whatnot. So that's how I got that wall crawler thing, because I was already out of slot car racing by the time that came out. But I saw the television commercials and thought it was, crazy cool. And then I got a bunch of other smaller tracks, people who didn't have the cars that came with the set or didn't have the controllers or, broken tabs on track. I didn't care. I can repair or replace all of that. So I had like probably that super huge set and then 3 or 4 smaller sets that had maybe 20, 30 feet of track themselves. And I just comboed it all together.
This seems like it would sell well. Like, that's an excellent idea. It's a perfect idea. Making a truck that holds all your cars for you.
That is cool. Do they have one that's more like the traditional car carriers, like the double doors?
Well, yeah, but this holds more. But no, I don't know. I just barely seen this. I was looking around. It's basically just a tackle box. They just added I think it's probably a fake truck. It's not to scale for the cars or nothing. And if you can pull these stupid signs out of here and put cars in there, I don't know. I just thought that was pretty clever. I was just looking to see if they still sell the slot cars, and all I'm finding is little baby stuff. But here's one for $50 that looks pretty big. So they must still sell them.
Have you seen any listings that are just for the loose cars or single cars or something like that, besides just the racetrack car sets? Ooh, third row down, second from the right. What is that? There's that split lane stuff you were talking about. That's awesome.
Muted. Is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, I was saying that I went to when I was playing with them. Like I said, it was when we were in school, so it was just something to do that was inexpensive and we could do it. But we just bought a whole bunch of little sets. But I'm thinking it was something like this. Like there was something they had like a flexible corner or something that the big set didn't have, because there was some reason why we ended up going with smaller sets, I think, because they must have had a big set. But here, something like this, when you can do this, it's amazing. It's like way more fun to play with them, right? When you can do this. And that's like usually 3 or 4 sets.
Yeah, there's a that in that shot, that I think that's a minimum. That's very intricate. And yeah, I remember those, and I have those flex track sections where you could get it to, you wouldn't have to use the preformed plastic shape. You could, get it to almost make a chicane. If you put 2 or 3 together, you could get that kind of ass flipping power off of the track by going through it too fast. So that was the challenge. Take your finger off the accelerator and, slalom instead of try to shoot a straight line.
Yeah, and see, that wasn't my thing. I was more just having fun racing, not trying to master scale speed. Is that the way to say it? Like having to figure out how to keep that tiny thing going 1,000,000 miles an hour on a curve was no fun. So the magnet ones kind of kept them on. There's also to keep them on the track just regularly, so kids didn't have to keep going over and flipping it back on, because it was not just for the wall. It was to keep them from falling off the track so often. But I see people that race like this when they race at a hobby shop for real. It's more like watching what's that show? Tokyo Drift, because they're constantly at some sort of wicked pivot to the slot is barely in and they're at full speed and they're already anticipating 3 curves ahead. Like that's not how I like. I'd rather have it almost at scale and just drive around like a train set than go fast. Like I'd rather have it just be like a traffic simulator or something and just drive around enjoying a Sunday drive on an interesting track or something. Because I didn't enjoy, I'm not good at it. I kept flipping my cars off. But
yeah, speaking of scale,
but
speaking of the scale trains, if you ever find yourself in the Midwest along I-80 crossing Iowa in Colfax, there's a museum that a guy put together based on his hobby, and if you don't stop and stare and get lost in the scale, it's a minimum of a half an hour. If you're just trying to breeze through, it's going to take you half an hour to walk it. If you enjoy yourself, it's an afternoon. It's a really cool place. And I think 2 or 3 days out of the week, at least the way I remember it is 2 or 3 days out of the week, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, admission was free.
That's cool. We had a restaurant here. It burned down at some point, but there was a pretty iconic or like been here a long time type of restaurant. A lot of people would take visitors there, and it was, I don't know, not maybe that, but you would eat around them. So, you'd order, and then if you had kids or old people, they could go look. Or if you just pretty much anywhere in the restaurant, you could look around and just see. It was a whole bunch of displays, but they were huge, like they were not small. So, you'd look over here, it'd be Swiss. You look over there, it'd be, I don't know, some other kind of train, and look over there, and it's a different type of train. But so I could,
Go ahead.
well, I was just not saying anything.
Oh, there's a restaurant when I was a kid. I don't think it's there anymore, but it was called the Iron Horse, and you would sit down and order, but then when your food came, it would come on a train next to the table.
Oh, really? Like a la Mr. Rogers big ass train?
Yeah, that
That'd
kind
be
of like
awesome.
that size. And it was like a burger joint. You'd have fries and burgers. They didn't have fancy food or nothing. But as a kid, that's like the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, crap. Yeah, that'd be good for anybody who's not an idiot. Who the hell wouldn't want a giant train bringing your food to you? That's ridiculous. That's what they should have now.
Totally. That's better than a silly ass animatronic bear band, playing in a Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz.
So do you know the story of Chuck E. Cheese?
No.
You know what Atari is, 2600? That guy's name is Nolan, the guy that invented Atari. Atari comes from the game in Japan or China called Go. Atari is some word from that game. So it's a dude from California. He used Atari because it sounded Japanese, but he's a dude who went to school for computers, and his day job to pay the bills was working at a concession at a arcade, pinball arcade at some place, and he kept going to the video arcade and seeing how much money they were making, and then going and seeing how people were playing with computers. And the very first computer game ever was on the type of computer that took up like refrigerators in a room, and they didn't have monitors yet. It was just a series of LED displays. So somebody figured out if they took a radar screen from World War II and stuck it onto a computer, that they could write a set of codes that would transcribe all the letter blips into things on a screen. And when they did that effort, they created Asteroids, and that was the first video game ever, like to figure out how to create graphics from code or whatever. They created Asteroids, or it was done at the same time. So Nolan goes and sees a supercomputer basically do that, and he has it in his head, and then he continues to work at pinball games. And then so and so months later, years later, whatever, they go through transistors and then integrated circuits, and then they come out with whatever the chip is in an Atari 2600s, that whatever some company came out with an affordable chip that could be programmed. And he knew what you could do with programming, but now he had a way to do it. So they start to create Atari. So he creates Atari, and Atari is built on integrated circuits inside of a little tiny box you plug into your TV, as opposed to a pinball game or Asteroids in a bar or something. But it's built the same way, where you basically build an Atari game, or Asteroids game to be an Asteroids game. You build a Donkey Kong game to be a Donkey Kong game. So with the Atari 2600 and all that, he was trying to get away from that model and put the software onto the plug-in cartridge and all that. So anyway, that guy invents that, but comes from video game days, and he understands that if he builds a 2600, that he makes his money, he makes his quarters when the kids can switch out the games or whatever. But what happens is, I forget the situation specifically, but circumstances happen, and he sells the company in order to continue growth to like Motorola or somebody, some big company, I forget who, Magnavox maybe. So some big corporate comes in and buys Atari, and I guess maybe it was right before that. He says, hey, you know what? We've got the kids, but how do we get some money from the people who used to buy our Atari video game cartridges for their pinball arcades? Right now, we're selling a video game stand-up, a stand-up Asteroids game for, let's say, $2,000, but then they put that in their arcade, and they make $10,000 off of it, right? So we're not selling $10,000 worth of shit. We're selling it for 2,000. What can we do? So he says, well, if we make our own arcades, then we make the $10,000 and not just the two. So we're going to make our own arcades. But how do we make our own arcades and not compete with our customers who are buying our same video games that we're going to be using? Well, what if we put ours instead of in a movie theater or in a mall? We'll put ours in a pizza place. And then all that time you're waiting for your pizza, you're playing video games. And then all that time the kids are playing video games, the parents don't have to worry about it. They can sit over here drinking beer, knowing their kids are over here safely playing video games, and and they can watch them. So Nolan literally built Chuck E. Cheese to make money off of Atari, Asteroid stand-up machines, because he was frustrated that he was selling the machines for $2,000 and not making that $10,000 residual. So he built a company, an industry that wouldn't compete with his own customers, and then it caught on. Like as soon as he made it, it started going good, and then he started franchising it. So that's when Magnavox or somebody buys Atari, and he's like, okay, I'm selling Atari, but do you want this Chuck E. Cheese also? And they're like, nah, that's not going anywhere. So then Nolan turns all of his attention from Atari to Chuck E. Cheese, and it turned into a massive thing. And then it got copied by, who's the one that copied it? Some other place copied it. What's the other one that's really close to it? Somebody will know. But there's the other one that was
Showbiz. The Showbiz pizza place.
Showbiz was a franchisee. He goes and he meets with Nolan. He buys all this stuff, and he goes to all this the up training, and he learns everything. And then at the last minute, he goes, nah, and he starts Showbiz just to not pay the franchise fees. So then Nolan takes him to court and owns both. So he makes Showbiz, and then Nolan just took it. It's like, okay, fine, I'll just take you to court, and now it's mine. So now Chuck E. Cheese owns both, but it's basically Showbiz already exists in some cities, so they just left it Showbiz. Anyway, it's pretty neat. Nolan's a cool dude, and he sold it, I think, at some point, and then put a bunch of money into robots. He made fortunes, and then lost it all in robots, and then made fortunes doing something else. And I think it's like a half a fortune now, or like a shit ton compared to us, but not compared to all his friends, because he knows everybody. Steve Jobs worked for him. Like Steve Jobs worked for Nolan, but then Wozniak did everything for Jobs, and then Jobs turned it in, sort of. So they kind of both worked for him, but he only paid one. And there's a couple other people who had been working at Atari during or whatever, as they were doing their careers or what.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's neat. I like that. I never even thought about Chuck E. Cheese until I started listening to Nolan interviews. And he's a cool dude, because if you listen to Nolan's interviews when he was younger, he's always been very open. His interviews are consistent. Like him and Woz and others are really consistent. You can tell they're honest, because their consistency over decades is 100%. Like I can literally watch the video within the same hour, of decades of them, and they're singing the same song. So that they're just saying what the deal is. But yeah, they evolve. It's really interesting listening to early interviews with them, talking about what's happening at the moment, back in whatever, the 80s or whatever, when it's all kind of raw. And then, at some point in the middle. And then now you listen to interviews now, and not only do they have time to heal and, not worry about it, it's not so immediate anymore for all these situations, but also they have such experience in new tech and everything that when these interviewers ask them some questions, it's really neat to hear their answers, because again, they aren't just answering the specific question, but they're answering it with some insight and understanding that very few of us could possibly have, just having awareness that they've had of the time frame. Can't imagine. Anyway, super neat listening to some of those interviews. Oh, I'm still screen sharing. I should not screen share if I'm going to go search around for something. But I guess we'll start wrapping it up. We're at 2 hours. This is a good time to scare everybody away who's just out there sleeping. Everything from now on is going to be lecture and boring, so leave. If you're lame, get out of here. Let's see. I'm going to go look at stuff that I've already seen, and hopefully I watched it on this channel. I did. So which one should we look at? I found a really interesting channel. Let's do TV series since it's Friday.
Okay.
That's less. What's Joe Biden's plan going to do?
No.
He's going to buy you a new home, dude. Why don't you just take a Biden home? Take your Biden home. We're going to screen share, and this is going to get me kicked off of YouTube. But this is super interesting. Tell me if I'm crazy, but I think this is super interesting. What I'm going to do is double speed it. Double normal speed. So if you're sleeping out there, look at your TV. Look at your TV right now, because it's going to be a visual thing. All right, can you hear me? Am I still here? Even though I made it full screen? I can never tell if I kick myself out when I do that or not.
Nope, you're coming through loud and proud.
Yeah,
Yep.
So there's nothing to listen to. It's just bullshit, weird music. Probably programming. There's probably some subliminal binary bullshit in here. But this is TV shows. We're at 1988, and it takes forever because I think it's doing like quarters or seasons or some shit inside of the thing. But we're at 1988. You got your Cosby Show, your Roseanne, right? And you can kind of see what's happening as the clock keeps spinning. These shows are making more and more or less, what is this, viewers? There's probably 40 million viewers. So Roseanne is coming up, surpasses Cheers. Everybody's got the idea now? I'm going to go back and start it so we can all appreciate it. So from 1986, they start with Cosby Show and Family Ties, and Cheers was third to those two. Fucking Murder, She Wrote, and Golden Girls, right? This is like when Angelina was watching TV. Growing Pains, Empty Nest, holy shit. So this is the kind of stuff that was happening in the 80s. So
Unsolved Mysteries.
I don't have to apologize. This is what we were being brainwashed with. Of course we hated television. This is what was on television. So this is super interesting. So this is also, watch these numbers, 38, 40 million is the high end. And then they're not really all that diverse. The smallest one that keeps flipping in and out of here is like a difference of 10 million. This is at 30. This is at 42. This is just under 30. This is at 43. So it's only a difference of like 10 million. So these are quite popular shows. And I can't remember any particular year as I watch this, but it's super interesting. So now we're in the middle of the 90s. It's ER and Seinfeld, Home Improvement and Grace Under Fire and shit. I was not watching TV at this time. I did not watch TV much during this whole era. I remember these shows and shit, but I didn't realize the scale, I guess, of some of these. And you can kind of tell there's like not a big spectrum here, right? Oh, what happened? Stupid. I always thumb down videos, and then whenever it says skip, immediately skip. Because I think if you don't, this is the guy who's space astronaut who's trying to get rid of guns in Arizona. I think if you don't click skip, it thinks you're not there, and it automatically plays all videos or all commercials full length. Anyway, it's just neat to see the 36. So this is already 2 million lower than the high before. Now it's getting back to 40. But you know what I mean? Like even just thinking about how this number fluctuates. So now we're in 2003 and we're at 40,000. And look at, these are all under 30. So now under 30 is way up here. So the top, whatever this is, 10 shows. I should probably pause every once in a while because it's probably impossible to interpret. But this isn't the kind of thing where you're going to track every one. It's just interesting to see like the way that they move, like how much turbulence there is, I guess, how much switching around there might be, how long they stay pinned at the top, for example. And then I've been watching, like I say, like how big the biggest one is. And then like now they're down to 25, like 4 of these are under 25. So that's millions of people that are no longer watching TV by 2005 compared to, back here, the big shows were at 30. So that's 100 million more people watching TV back in the day. And there's always more population, right? So it's never like there's less people. It's just there's significantly less people watching TV. So now the big one is barely hitting 40 all the time. We're in 2006, and these just look like they're fucking shrinking. Every one of them. It doesn't matter what the show is. Like they're just all going down. Now they start to come back in 2008 for some reason. But still, 32,000 is the biggest one. So even though this has now zoomed in to give us a bigger, view of the small, it's much smaller. All of these are barely hitting 25,000 anymore. So they're all down by a factor of like 5 million or more. The biggest show hasn't even hit 40,000 in years, or 40 million or whatever it is. Here, Game of Thrones barely hit 40 million. And then you got Breaking Bad. And this Big Bang is going to go up there and just live there for a long time now. Now, Game of Thrones went up to 40,000. So that's like old-fashioned numbers. But it's now 40,000 compared to shows that can barely reach 25,000. And I can proudly say I don't even recognize any of these shows anymore. I mean, I've heard of Game of Thrones. I don't know. Am I the only one interested in this, or is this?
Interesting that Netflix jumped in there.
Yeah, and now Orange is the New Black, and now we're at 2017. Watch how many Netflixes and HBO. I mean, HBO is also a non-whatever player, right? But
Sopranos was in there for a while.
Who was?
Sopranos.
Oh, that was HBO, right?
Yeah.
So now that was Stranger Things. So you see, that kind of makes sense because it was only a year show, so it can't stay too long, right? Anyway, I thought that was super neat. And then when it ends, the biggest shows are still under 25. The biggest show ever is under 30. And shows are definitely, another thing to look at is it's tough because they kind of if there is consistency with the color, I can't tell what it is. I've only watched it a couple of times. But watching like Game of Thrones, that goes to the top and just pegs there, like what Mixed is. But like Breaking Bad was only on for so many years, so it can only be there for so long. Some of these shows, it's probably interesting to see a show like, is Blue Bloods the one with Magnum PI in it?
Yes.
Like that show's been on for a long time, and it's a bitch compared to Game of Thrones. Like it's Game of Thrones bitch. So that's a lot of heavy hitters. It's got Marky Mark and shit in it. So, you know what I mean? You'd think that that's like a no-brainer, but it can't even bring 30 million people in. So I think that's just an indication that nobody fucking watches TV no more. Let me screen share this off. So I don't mind showing this one. It's called Data is Beautiful. I haven't watched enough of their videos to know if they're bullshit or not, but there are a couple of these there's a lot of these videos that show comparative data. I don't know what to call it. This one is not so bad, but there are a couple that omit things. And I think by omitting things, they're steering their objective or their point. You know what I mean? I think they're fucking with people. This one, I don't know if they're fucking with people because I don't know if they're missing stuff or not, but
did it say where it got its data in the first place?
Nah, who cares? It's just, who cares if it's off? It's just interesting. If it's kind of right, it's interesting to see it. And then, for me at least, it's interesting to see it. I'm not voting on it or nothing, Does anybody want to see one or no?
Say that again.
See another one or no?
Yes.
All right, we got fast food stores, cities population, nuclear energy, world population, value of brands, global energy.
Oh, hey, let's hit up the populations.
So we got quite a few in populations. I'm looking to see if I'm missing. They don't have that many, so I can kind of scroll up and down and see all their videos. I can't imagine how they're doing these. I hope that it's software. I really, really hope it's software that you just plug data in like a database or a spreadsheet, and then it does that, because I really, 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 really want to do it with some gun stuff, right? But if it's just raw, they're going there doing this in After Effects, then wow. I'm looking, we had See, the thing is, some of them say world's largest religious groups by population, so it's taken me a second to see all the population ones that are actually just population ones. Didn't I just say, maybe I did, oh no, world's largest cities by population? Did I say that one? Ancient world
Yes, I believe you did.
Oh, snap. We got ancient world population from 10,000 BC to 1900. I'm going to go to that one. Oh, shit, I got to change my shampoo. It turns out I'm going to go bald if I keep using the shampoo. Crap, I can't. I better thumb down that ad and skip it. Otherwise, I'll go bald. All right, so now this is early world population. Are you shitting me? Look at this. Early world population adjusted to present day boundaries, 96 BC. So way the hell before C, we got Mexico hogging. Look how much of the world's population they got.
They were massive.
Yeah, 1 million freaking people. Brazil, 500,000. China is a punk bitch with 200,000 people. They're not even trying. Russia, basically the same size as China. Peru is almost same size as Russia. How the hell can we even help? That's the natives, I suppose. Yeah, I'm like, how the hell? We haven't stolen it yet. So 241. And then these other countries, I guess, exist. So now we'll keep going. China starts going. Mexico still growing. Everybody else is growing, though. Do we have a world adjusted? No, we don't have. It would be neat to see a total down here. Oh, maybe this is? No, this is just an increment. So why is Brazil getting so damn big? What are they doing that's so good? China is understandable. They got a lot of room. Mexico is big, though. Mexico's like almost, no, it's not. It's not. So screw that. Mexico's cheating. Now they're at 1.2. No way. And now India's finally coming in, making a play for this whole thing. You know what they're eating back here? 7,000 BC. You know what they're eating in Mexico and China and Brazil? What their lifespan is? That would be interesting.
Probably
see, like
30.
The colors be the lifespan or something. That'd be neat. They're trying to do the thing where like colors are boundaries that don't touch, but it ain't working. I would rather see it be something else. Because what's going to happen is we're going to watch enough of these things that we're going to need more. We're going to be like, this only has 4 sets of data for us. We need at least 8 for it to be interesting.
Be interesting.
So now China overtook. It took until, when did this thing start? 8,000, 10,000. It took 5,000 years for China to overtake Mexico. And then India wasn't even farting around. They're just right on their toes. We're not even trying. We're just sitting around eating buffaloes, I guess. And now it looks like we really got a population. So it's something, and it would also be neat if they throw in like, here's where farming started. Because I'm guessing at first it was just what you can go around gathering and then figuring out like, oh, if I come back here, I can go get some more wheat. And if I put it in that hole over there, then I got wheat whenever I want it. And then they figure out, oh, if I grow it wherever I want, then I have it for sure. And I can have a bunch more people. That's happening when this is happening.
Did you notice for the last maybe 1,000 years, everybody went down?
No, was that some sort of where
left?
So from here,
So
maybe?
Yeah, was there some kind of catastrophe? Look at the big ones. They're going down. They're not going up. The one up, but the other 3 are going down.
Oh, yeah. No, they are going way the fuck down. Oh, no, it isn't. It isn't, dude. I think what you got to watch, because I've been watching India. But if you watch these, it does look like they're slowing, but that's because this one's growing so big. But let me watch the numbers this time. Because this one's at 2.3, 2.4, 2.4, 2.5, 2.7.
Oh, they're just going down compared to each other. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I think it's just because these are growing so fast that these aren't keeping up because they are getting bigger all the time. But no, I see what you mean now, that these look like they're just not even trying. So, and like I say, I think that's when these countries figured out
top of the agriculture and the ones in
agriculture, right? And these people are still running around kicking the shit out of each other and being mean. And these people are still being mean to each other.
Yeah, they're just breaking.
These people are in the middle of everybody getting smart, I think, still. and we're just out of the picture. We're not even a thing anymore. We're just buffalo eaters.
So like what, 1,000 is going to start right?
Look what happened to India. They just said, fuck it. Start having babies. Let's just have a shit ton of babies. Like,
Never stopped.
like, what do you mean not have babies? How about we have 6 babies? You said you told me not to have 6 babies. I'm gonna have 16 babies. You son of a bitch. And then China's like 16 babies. That sounds like a good idea. Holy crap! Like they call us the hogs. These two are the hogs of the world right now. And this is barely boom. This is barely zero.
You know, we're 80. Jesus was walking around right about now.
Yeah, he's 40 years old, you know, going through whatever, thinking about buying a new car. And then, bam, India's like, what do you mean I can't have 74 million people? What happened there? So let's check that out. So I guess that's India just saying, oh, look, China almost caught up to us. So you know how we were holding on the brakes for a minute? Let's not hold on the brakes. And let's just have some babies or something. Yeah, that's nuts. Everybody else is like, let's try to hover under 10 million people. And India's like, did you say 110? Because we just passed that. Like we weren't even standing still. This is like the Daily Gun Show's number of podcasts. And this is like a weak ass, sloppy, regular daytime gun podcast. But they're like barely have sex ever. Like don't even have babies.
So now we're in the night.
This is one of the gun chats that we like, but isn't as good as us. They're okay. They're trying. Like here's us. They're okay. But these people, they suck. So now we're barely at 11. Yeah, this is nuts. This isn't even, it's crazy how many people they have over there. And it's not like they just did it like yesterday. They've obviously spent all of time on top of each other and they dig it. They've had all this time. This has literally been 11,000 years. Well, okay, maybe at the beginning they weren't laying on top of each other, but for the last shit ton of time, they've been on top of each other and they don't change it. They like it. It works for them.
Coming up on 1492 soon.
This is when Columbus was
Yeah, what the
sailing
hell
out
is going on in Europe?
Nothing. They're like babies. That's for people in China and India. We don't like that. We don't like having babies here. Oh, there's where China said, boom, now we're taking the lead. Even though we're smaller physically.
United States.
Holy moly. Now, at some point, they're going to, and when you think about the Chinese slaughtering 30 million, that sounds insane to us because that's like a couple of different countries all piled together. That's not even like 10% of their shit by the time they get to that point. That's just them slaughtering like the people on the very edge. That's like scraping off the burnt part of the toast. Boom, they just got to 300 million people. Well, we're going to have to get to billions in the next 200 years, so it's going to grow pretty fast everywhere, I think.
Right. We're at 1800.
Is this the Dark Ages? No, 1800 is just before bullets were invented. There's guns.
Yeah. Lewis and Clark are still walking around trying to find.
Who?
Lewis and Clark. They're looking around finding an ocean and shit.
Okay, so we exist and we're starting to be a country. We're on the map. We're a blue blip down here now. There we go. We're kicking butt. Oh, look at that. Boom. Bunch of other countries. I don't know what's happening over there. Now, this is world population. You would think that, like, where's the other continents? I guess it's because of it's countries and not continents or something. So these countries or these continents that have a lot of people must have small enough border countries that their populations individually don't meet the giant, like we're a whole continent, basically. We're from one side of the North American continent to the other, where Africa's probably got, it's like if our states were all having to fight for themselves, they wouldn't show up on here either.
Right.
We just have 50 of them all hanging out together with one number. Yeah, that was interesting. It would have been funner to see it from like 1900 to now, because that was a bunch of time that, I wasn't even alive for half of that time, so boring. But damn, it is definitely not anything new for China and India to be crowded. Now, I didn't know that going into 1900, we were the biggest country of people. I guess it makes sense. Just again, because Germany isn't all of Europe. Like if they'd have all of Europe on here, all of South America, maybe. I don't know how big we'd be then. But again, where are they getting these numbers? It doesn't even say, does it? I am a first-year PhD.
Those are direct census figures.
Please support my coffee. You can buy me another cup of coffee. Source, HYDE project data. So I don't know what that is. But
So it's probably like a database that he just hooked into.
yeah, it could be. It sounds like the guy is literally, let's see if we get some information about the guy.
College
Captain among trip down memory lane and colorful events we experienced. I'm a first-year PhD student, data geek who enjoys making visualizations. I stumble upon numerous data while researching. I'm happy to share it. I read every suggestion you guys post. I appreciate your contributions. People looking to steal my content. I'm the most pro-sharing person. Believe information is public and accessible. I spend my days working hard for interesting data sets. If you want to use my videos, drop me a line for any other. You can embed the YouTube player. I'm alerted about stolen by my subscribers and actively copyright infringements. I don't know if this is stealing or not, so fuck you if I'm stealing your shit. Otherwise, I'm promoting your shit, but super interesting datas, right? Or info.
What was this site called again there, G?
Data is beautiful.
Data is beautiful.
A little owl.
Okay.
So the one that got me, top-selling artist, 1969 to 2000, because of the bar graph. I didn't realize what it was at first because I'd been watching a lot of videos that do data. Do data representation. So, or visualization, I guess is what they're calling it. So, this just came along my thing. Did you know that this guy's going to save us? I should have kept that going. You'd have known how we're going to get saved. All right, so this is the one I think I first seen. Oh, look, I only got halfway through it. I got sick of watching it, but it was interesting. So you guys got the concept by now. This is starting in 1969. Let me make sure it's on twice as fast. If you're going to watch this thing, you got to watch it at twice as fast, because even at twice as fast, it takes forever. He does it by quarter year. So I don't know where he's getting his data, but there's too much of it because it's kind of interesting, but I don't care about every single increment, Anyway, this is music. And again, pay attention to not just the trends. It'll certainly be trends. And here's something interesting. For a long, long time, it'll be a sausage fest, but it does start out with Barbra Streisand, Cher. I thought there was a third. So Cher and Barbra Streisand are on here, but then watch how much of a sausage fest this is going to turn into. So watch how many people, I think, or whatever this number is, if it's listeners or records sold or whatever the hell it is, I don't think it's money. Oh, no, it is money. Yearly certified record sales. So this is how much money they made, right? Watch how much money they made and then compare it to how we just watched. What did we just watch? We just watched the world population thing, and that was going... Or no, what we watched before that, where it was the TV thing, where it was kind of going down with the TV shows. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do the same here. So watch. I'll leave the comment thing up so that it helps with the logarithm, and we can see what people are saying because they're supposed to be part of this show. Here's a link. You can jump in because these shows get taken off air. So you could be part of basically the actual raw thumbing the nose to YouTube instead of just talking about it.
It is what cool.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so we got the Beatles and Elvis Presley. I had no idea the Beatles were that much bigger than Elvis Presley. I guess there's 4 of them, but still. Then you got Simon and Garfunkel. I guess it's the 60s. No, it's the 70s now. Led Zeppelin.
Well, don't be surprised by the position of the Beatles because you got to remember Elvis' comeback was in 1968. The television special he did in the black leather suit. And from thereafter, he was relegated to those performances in Las Vegas. The Beatles just had been blowing up since '66. Elvis has been around since mid-50s.
Okay, so that's interesting. I wonder, again, why he started in 69 then. But so in other words, it's not the heyday of Elvis or nothing, and it is more of the beginning of the Beatles. Anyway, so it's not like they stay in any one position. It'll change quite a bit. So I don't.
Right.
he doesn't. It would be also neat if you're going to do this to put the album cover in here and not just some general picture. I don't think that's what he's doing, but maybe he is. We'll see if the pictures change.
Wouldn't it be multiple albums?
No, because this is barely all 1971. I switched it back to normal speed so we could talk and it wouldn't happen so fast in front of us. But this is happening like quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. So this is still 1 year happening. It just takes them a while.
Led Zeppelin.
So Led Zeppelin starts to kick Elvis's butt. Now Elvis is up there, but remember it started at 3 and now it's down to 2. So now we get Pink Floyd and the Eagles are going to come up, and it's interesting. So obviously it has something to do in this case with when albums come out and when songs hit. Let's look at what Elton John just did. Wham!
Oh, like, and get ready for the same thing out of the Bee Gees, because we're in quarter 4 of 75, and Saturday Night Fever came out, I think, in 78. So they're going to explode. And also disco.
Well, now that's the thing, though. Now the Eagles are going to pin here, and all the disco just barely does this. So from what I remember, like, because I kind of was thinking the same thing. But what happened, I guess, in real life is the Eagles just fucking won. Like, I don't even remember listening to the Eagles that much. I guess they were on a lot. Or maybe they were touring. Like I say, it would be neat to see them include what album or what song it was, because, you know what I mean? Like how Elton John came up before and just kicked the shit out of it for a little while. That was because of something happened, right? He did something. Maybe his movie came out or whatever. Oh, there goes Michael Jackson. He didn't even fucking pause. He just decided, let's dominate. And everybody else is going to be like, maybe music isn't for me anymore. Like, I think
he's just about to peg 3 million, and the Eagles are still struggling to count up from 1,500, 1.5.
Now, I don't know what happened with Queen too, because I never really paid attention. But obviously, that worked.
1982 for Queen was right after The Game. The name of the album was The Game came out, and their greatest hits came out in 82, and there's something else that was real big for Queen that year.
Well, I was thinking that maybe that movie, even though the movie wasn't that big, but maybe that reminded people, or they played it on the record or something. But something happened, and he obviously pegged there for a minute. But then, you know, he came down to be way more in line, right, with all these other ones. Now, this is 1983.
So better marketing, too.
What?
Could have been better marketing, too. That Michael Jackson had better marketing than everybody else.
Well, no, I think I was going to say at this point, I think is probably when Michael Jackson bought all the records, all the songs from the what do you call them, the Beatles, right? Because this is how much money you made. So I think this is when Michael Jackson just started making business decisions.
Right, but he was in
what?
Like he was in every commercial. Like this is when we start getting marketing with these guys.
Oh yeah, well, when MTV is starting, right? So yeah, exactly. Sure. But then he's also, but I'm saying he's popular, and he's more popular than a lot of people, most everybody. But he's also making money as a businessman on top of all that. So he's, as far as his money coming in, it's going to just dwarf everybody here for a while. And like I say, he buys all the Beatles songs. He like owns their songs at some point. I don't remember when that was. It was in the 80s at some point. But now that, you know, he's the ceiling. So he's now lowering. And I don't know if this is because YouTube or MTV hasn't quite hit yet, or it's something, but Madonna jumping up like that, I think, is the beginning of MTV, right? She was pretty
well. Madonna's 1984 performance on MTV's awards show, where she did like a version. That's why she popped up there. Her first album was like in 82.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there's Springsteen because Bruce jumps there because of Born in the USA.
Yeah, Born in the USA.
Phil Collins too.
Insane. Phil Collins was on Miami Vice and shit. So this is definitely, now MTV is carrying these people. This is no longer the radio.
Oh, there was no reason for Dire Straits to be anywhere near that at this point if it wasn't for Brothers in Arms. That came out in 85. Nobody even knew in the United States even knew who the hell they were.
So I don't know. Like I was saying, the one other thing though is until Madonna comes along, there was like it was a sausage fest. It was all dudes forever, and from like the beginning there, except for Barbara Streisand, and now Whitney Houston's joining the mix. And
that's from
then
that horrible move she did.
this will change completely here in a couple of minutes when it gets to more modern. But now you see Metallica jumping in. Elvis is still on here, which is crazy. Elvis is still at $1 million a year. He's long dead at this point.
So Black Sabbath's not anywhere near here?
Oh, no. This is maybe another country. So now Madonna just said, goodbye, everybody. This must be whatever 90s song album came out. Then Michael Jackson's like, let me share in some of that with you. I don't know what Metallica did. Probably Kill 'Em All. Kill 'Em All was a big one. Now Whitney Houston's decided to make some money. But yeah, some of the things like Nirvana never
Garth
really.
Brooks. Mariah Carey?
Yeah, Mariah's
Celine Dion.
Mariah's in commercials and she has soundtracks, I think, and Whitney Houston has soundtracks. I think once they start figuring out to make money selling their songwriting, that's where they make money. And that's why Garth Brooks is in here too, I think. Well, obviously Mariah is like, she was popular for a while there in the 90s. One of them, this one's Celine Dion, the one from Vegas or whatever. I would have thought she would have made more money. But she just sort of does this.
Oh,
if I remember right, back down.
She does. That's when she did I think even a bowl game or something like that as the halftime performer. And she's Canada.
And she's not bad, but she's like, I would figure with all the old people that like her, like she would have been like Elvis or something, like just would have collected a lot of that old people money, because it's just a lot of young people money in here. Now, something happened with Elton John. He was up there for a minute in 2000. And then now it's Backstreet Boys and Eminem. Is Michael Jackson dead by now? I remember when he died.
No, I don't think so. 2001? No, he was still around. He'd been gone 20 years.
He's not even making money at this point. So something happened with him. Linkin Park is on the list. So now Eminem is up here at 3,000 million. And they're all down here at 1 million. Like everybody else who's trying is at 1 million or not even at 2. And for whatever reason, Eminem is kicking butt at 4 almost. And then
how in the hell is Lil Wayne so high? Oh my God, he just jumped.
Well, I don't even know who some of these people are. There's going to be another one here in a minute who I've never even heard of. Some of these, I'm sure I've heard the song before or whatever, but yeah, I've never heard of the groups. It's also, I quit paying attention, I guess. So now it's at 3, and now the second place is almost at 2. I should probably fast forward again because it's getting seeming like it's slow or whatever. Masks would have helped all these people. If only you wear your mask. Just wear your mask more often. I mean, vote for Biden and wear your mask. They don't take away the choice of doctors. So now you get Rihanna and Coldplay jumping up here.
Kanye too, and Britney.
How does Eminem stay up there for so long, making $3 million a year?
Because he pumped out an album a year, and he also crossed over with Dr. Dre, and Dre came back after 2000.
Yeah,
Rihanna's
but I don't know.
Just killing everybody.
Yeah, she starts to kick the crap. But I think, again, it's when these people who are the actual songwriters, and that's probably Eminem also, when they're the actual songwriters, that's when they make all their money. Like they put that in a commercial and they get paid, like probably more than going on a tour or something, So now it's weird. But look at Rihanna. Like Michael Jackson was happy to make $3 million a month, and everybody thought he was the shit. And every once in a while, somebody got to 3 million, and everybody else was at 1. Right? How long ago was it where everybody was at 1? Now everybody's hanging around at 2.5. Eminem hasn't even hardly changed. He's still at 3.5. It's just that he's getting dwarfed by whoever the fuck Bruno Mars is. and Taylor Swift. And Rihanna has just said, like, you know how there's a glass ceiling? I don't like that idea. And I'm going to just decide to make double what Eminem made for some reason. And then where the fuck Drake is, that's $3 million right there. Fucking Lady Gaga. I thought that was like almost like Weird Al Yankovic. I thought that was just like performance art. And that's at $3 million. So whoever the fuck Florida is here is about to kick the shit out of money. So that's the other interesting part is that remember for the longest time, $3 million was the ceiling and everybody else would be happy to make $1 million. Now it's at 5 million. I don't even know who Drake is. And now he's about to pass Rihanna, who I've heard of before. And she's been like in movies and stuff, right? So she's got to be making movies off or making money off of Hollywood, probably in video games at some point. Is Psy?
Yeah, Drake Psy, yeah. That's Gangnam Style. What's Gangnam Style? Yeah, he was a total one-hit wonder whose video just took over. He was wearing hammer pants and, you know, doing this crazy giddy-up horse dance move thing. It was a global phenomena. But back to Drake for a minute. Drake started out by doing teeny bopper shows at, you know, like matinee shows for like $12 a piece, and every screaming young child, you know, girl was, you know, clamoring to go see him. And then he finally crossed over. The parents started to like him, and that's where the album sales really took off. And one thing we also need to remember is this is no longer album sales. This is online sales things all the way down to singles. So at 10 cents a piece for a download back then.
Well, and at some point it was Warner Brothers made money and then you got a cut. Now they're business people and they're making their own money now, and there's ways to make money. If they're selling merch or whatever, there's no Warner Brothers in between, right? Or there's no Universal. I don't know the names of those places, but you know, like the in-betweens.
Yep.
So that's part of it probably. And then I don't know. So and money's just worth different, I guess. But yeah, so now it gets in from pretty much now. I don't know who any of these people are. I've heard of some of them once in a while, but I don't know who the fuck any of these people are. And the money just goes nuts because now nothing's going down at all, ever. These that look like they're going down is that phenomenon of just not growing as fast as the other. That one technically did go down. But now Lady Gaga is the only one I've even fucking heard of, and she's at 2.5. This Drake guy is still at 7 million. Where the fuck Bruno is at 6.5. Where the fuck this guy is at 6. Justin Bieber, I've heard of that guy, is at 5.5. This is in 2016. So this is after everybody was crying about, oh, when you go online and album sales and blah, 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 and, you know, they're going to trade your music and you don't have to buy it. Like, they're figuring it out. Then you get fucking, maybe, is he going to come back? That guy, Florida, I thought had a shit ton. Maybe he came and went already. Yeah, so now the lowest one, we're getting up to the end here, 2018. The smallest one is whoever she is for 2.5. So what used to be pegging at the top is now, you know, more like the bottom. And it's neat when you see somebody like that. Like, I didn't know that Psy was like that guy who danced around and, like, you know, the Where's the Beef episode or whatever. Like, that was a one-hit wonder or whatever you call it. Like, it's interesting to see a one-hit wonder can come in and make 8 million, almost $8 million as a whatever that little blip was. Crazy. So anyway, yeah, this channel is super neat. And they've got it on different topics from sci-fi movies, TV shows, Marvel, money, how much money the movie made, popular music styles. So I don't know where you get these data sets from. Top Android messengers. I watched one on the most populated countries in the future. Oh, that's interesting. I watched one on the biggest online things, like the biggest online companies or something maybe. All right, well, we're at 3 hours. That means I ate a good chunk out of my day, and we're really just chatting, the three of us. So, and there's really nobody watching. This is 2 people watching. So sometimes there's an awesome gun conversation. Sometimes there's just a regular chat, and that's what we had tonight. It's just chat. I don't think we really got on guns. Well, there was on guns for a bit there, but not on guns here for the last little bit. If that guy would have, if that's some kind of software and I can get my hands on it, there'll be some gun ones.
Yeah,
But
there's a bunch of gun ones I'd love to know, like most popular guns, like from 1900 to now.
yeah, once you get like NSSF involved and they go ask everybody, I mean, how hard would it be? Once there's a quantum computer, we're going to see data like this all the time. And like I say, there's room once you're used to watching data like that, because you're obviously not trying to absorb every single data set. You're seeing the trend or the whatever that's called, like you're seeing the fluctuation rhythms or something. So if they, like on those music ones, if they would have added the name of the album as one of those what do you call them, artists would, like, you know, hit the scale and go up and then come back down, like that would have been an extra level of insight that wouldn't have been too much. I don't think you could have easily not paid attention to it if it was too much for you, but it would have been super interesting to see something like that, or to have, like I say, something throw in there on a bigger scale type of thing, like this is the Dark Ages, or this is when the plague happened, or, you know, to add insight to the something that's happening, you know, that you're seeing with the fluctuations or whatever. But anyway, super neat. And there's some others that show this type of concept in different ways besides bar graphs. These are like bar graphs with time, right? Bar graphs over time.
Right.
Neat. All right, well, so I'm going to get back to my ammo project. Thanks everybody for showing up and being part of a show, and we'll continue to do this. I'm taking time away from the bigger project, which I've been putting together, a daily gun show format that will be modular, I guess. Be very much like an AR-15. The old daily gun show was sort of like a Garand or something. Like it was pretty much built, you know, Bob was involved, so it was big and heavy and made out of wood. You know, it was Canadian involved. Very much like the Garand or Garand.
You loaded yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, let's use some sort of a reloading mechanism. He's like, how about a plain old clip? I'm like, we call it a magazine here, Bob. He's like, I'm well aware. We're using a clip. So yeah, it's all right, but it's dated. It's for ancients. It's for elderlies. So we're rebuilding it into a modular setup like an AR-15 or even something newer like Legos. So going forward, it will be amazing, and it won't be intimate like it is now, but you'll be able to look back and go, I was a part of the show when only 3 people showed up, and it was fun.
Amen.
So the new corporate show that it'll be soon, but it'll be so much more money with the corporate one. Sure, you'll have to have a badge, and you'll only be able to go to designated areas of the show, but there'll be so much more money. All right, with that, thanks. Does anybody have anything to plug?
No, you know me, never.
Barbecue's asleep. I kicked out DJ. I only let him talk for a little while, then I kicked him out of here.